apologize for all the technical difficulties. Oh, maybe my phone is just doing it. Oh, wrong shot, that's it. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sister Sky. Shalom, Sister Angela. Yes, ma'am, Ema Bema. And shalom, Her Healthy Home. I saw that you said that this is the first time you found this channel, so welcome and shalom. Thank you, Sister Stacy. Welcome, Avia. Yeah, we have a storm too. The rain is not as heavy today, but it seems to be affecting things anyways. But it is raining. Shalom, Sister Tanya. Shalom, Sister Kay. Shalom, Sister Tracy. Also, Sister Ribka will be back. She's going to put down one of the babies and she'll be back and join us. I was looking for somebody, Sister J. So we'll be getting started shortly. Oh, there you are. Okay, shalom, Sister J. You just want to move in. Oh, my food.
All that noise needs to stop. Good job, Judy.
Sister Lydia. Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry?
I said I even posted on the camera.
Well, my sister Rachel comes back, but there's whatnot, so I'm just...
Whoa. It gave me the wrong string.
That's the old one. There's a chicken
Bars. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's doing on my phone. I'm trying to get started, and it gave me Sister Ripple.
told me to do that when I get ready to start. I'm a little piece in the top.
Do you have the what exactly? Okay, there you are, Sister Tara. Shalom. We can just go and get started now. I was trying to see the how to retire it. I was looking to see what the title was. I kind of wanted to have it with Sister J's question. Maybe we'll just do the short. Okay, you all seen the title. It's titled Preparing for Marriage. And I know we had, oh, shalom, Sister Marquisia. So it's titled Preparing for Marriage. And we had a sister and many other people have asked these questions before on what does a woman do to prepare for marriage? When it's talked about normally, you know, a lot of times, most of the sisters here, you know, hey, get prepared for marriage, be ready to submit, or a wife is a woman who would, you know, be willing to listen or submit to her husband. And, you know, a lot of submission is talked about, which is great. But we also had where a sister asked the question of, you know, outside of submitting, you know, what does that look like? If you've never seen it before, then what is submission exactly? What do you mean by submit to your husband?
There is whatnot where she scoots over, like.
What does it mean to submit? What does that look like and function? How do you prepare so you can be successful in marriage? So you can go in marriage and you can fulfill your role as your master's helpmeet. You know, what else should I do? You know, that's what a lot of sisters, or a few sisters have been asking, what else do I work on? I got the submission part down, but what is a man looking for? What shouldn't I be doing? And things like that. So we're going to talk about that today. What is it going to take for you to qualify as a wife? What type of things you should be preparing for in many aspects, not just the biblical aspect, which is very important, but also in other things that sometimes is easily overlooked or ignored, or sometimes it's not even recognized. Maybe not everyone is conscious to other areas in their lives that will affect marriage. And so sometimes until you are made aware, you may not know that you either had other issues that are hindrances to you, or you don't know how they may affect marriage, or, you know, sometimes it seems easier said than done, because you never prepared for that. You know, you didn't know to prepare for certain things. Is that?
I'm just moving.
It was talked about with one of our sisters, mothers / sisters here, also, that women, you know, the way she worded it, which is very similar to what we were going to talk about, is, you know, women who are desiring to be covered should have take time for self-care. And a lot of times, you know, it can be confused with taking time for yourself in the wrong manner. You know, like, oh, spend time with yourself, spend time loving you, and self-love, or making sure no one could ever tear you down. You are a great person and you have to be strong-minded. I mean, that's the way I've learned of self-care a lot of times, like, where it's like, well, you know, you got to love yourself, which is very true. You do have to love yourself, but the way it was put is almost like a build-up thing in a wrong manner. They build you up with the wrong ideas, ideologies. So then when you go into a home, or you go into marriage just in general with a man, and he tells you something is wrong with characteristic you may have or behavior you may have, now you feel like he's trying to tear you down, like, or and then you have this attitude, I'm not gonna let anybody talk to me that way or deal with me like that. I love myself, or you know, you have to take me the way I am, and because you feel like you've already built yourself up. And while taking care of yourself is good in the sense of, you know, dealing with issues you may have, you don't want to confuse that with building yourself up in pride, or building yourself up in some way that will cause you to become prideful or haughty. And only and building yourself up, you know, you may need clarity on that, because really when you get married, your husband builds you up, and he builds you up the way he wants to see you, the way he wants you to be. So if you try to put too much into yourself with the wrong ideals, then you'll set yourself up for failure. Shalom, Zen. Okay, I didn't say this early in the stream. We normally do. If any men are in the chat, you are able to watch and hear, but please do not comment to any of the sisters or anyone on the stream. This is a sister stream today. The live stream tomorrow will be with Following Yahshua. So please just remember that. And I would like to, Sister Sky just posted a comment, if you all would read that, you know, that's maybe a more better perspective. I'm gonna read it out loud. She said, no me time, as the world says, but self-evaluation, educating yourself about nutrition, pregnancy, childbirth, mental health, established by honesty and receiving the truth of the word. Shalom, daughter of Yah. And that's good, and that's kind of where we're going today as well. Let me get to. Yes, Sister Sky, it is more like that. It's like learning your role as a wife is, you know, one aspect being, you know, knowing what the word says about, you know, you being submitted to your husband, knowing that, you know, he is the head of the household. Your place of having reverence toward him, learning how to reverence him and honor him and follow his lead, and be a help to him and assist him in the way that he directs you, and not in the way that you believe you should direct him, because a lot of the times the two can be confused. I know, even just in the smallest sense, for me coming up and coming to a man's home, being my master's, I thought that building him up too is if I could help him financially. Like, if I had a job and I helped give you some money to pay for stuff, I really thought that was building him up. But as my master always tell me, I don't need your money. I'm not asking for your money. Your money is not doing anything for me if you can't submit. So that's another perception that, you know, we oftentimes get, and that's incorrect as well. But Mother Ima Bima also has spoken on this, and you know, she broke it down pretty well in the same way that we were going to describe. But there was a lot of good, healthy points we should look at when it comes to preparation for marriage, things that you should prepare for. There's the mental section where you need to prepare yourself mentally for what you're going to walk into, knowing what you're walking into. Because, you know, I think a lot of times we have this perception, this idea of marriage already in our minds, what it's going to look like, what has to happen, even when you use the Bible, and sometimes I know it's like sounds weird to think like if you read the Bible and come up with this perception, you automatically think it's right. And it's kind of weird that you have to be careful what you're reading and what type of understanding you have. You need to be clear that the understanding you have is correct, because otherwise, we read the Bible and you still can build some sort of idea in your mind based on what you think the Bible is telling you. And when you go into marriage, and if the man doesn't operate the way you thought the Bible was telling him to operate, then you feel like he's out of order or out of line or not lining up with what the word says. Then you feel then that you are able to be disrespectful, disobedient. You don't have to honor what you vowed you would honor or what you would do, because really you didn't know what you were walking into. And I think that's another thing. Like, we think we know what we're walking into, but if you're going to get into marriage, and you should, if you are a daughter of Yah, if you are trying to walk this, the Bible tells you you need a covering. If you are not, you are unmarried, if you ain't over 60 where the church is taking care of you because you meet those qualifications, it's not good for a woman to walk around without a head. A head will lead you to the Father the way you need to be, where you need to be, and help you in that way. So you should not want to just remain single without a head. But you do need to know what you're walking into. You need to know wherever you want to walk into marriage with, you need to prepare for that. You need to know what that prospective person will be looking for. And there's some things that you can learn about the person if you know who they may be. And then there's some basic things that you can learn if you don't know who the person may be. So some areas that we were going to cover today was mental health and physical health, your emotions, the way you carry yourself, the biblical knowledge, questions that you should ask yourself. And try to line up with that. You want to get lined up with those things. You want to take care and evaluate any past issues that can cause you to a stumbling block for you. That can be a hindrance to you or to the household that you're going to join. And you want to consider those things and deal with those.
So Sister J asks, are the expectations the same across the board?
Where is that?
Money, be quiet.
It should be one of the last.
Oh, okay. No, that's Sister.
Sister J, you see it?
Oh, yes. What can you expound on that a little further, Sister J?
Each household's different.
Yes, Master. If you were speaking of, Sister J, in the context of like, is the expectations across the board like for different households, then no. There are like basic things that apply to any Israelite household who's truly an Israelite man, but as far as like all the qualifications, as far as what each man desire or want from their wife as helpmeets and things like that, no, each man is different in that aspect. But if you meaning like, do every Israelite man want their wives to be submitted, then like, yes, like those things are usually across the board, because that's what the word says. That's what they're going by. Each man, no matter which household, is supposed to be the head of their house. You're supposed to be their, one that is submitted to them and assisting them. What they may have you assist them on can be different and look different. So, and even sometimes in the same household, in some variations, it can look a little different, because the master chooses, the husband chooses how he wants his helpmeets to help him. And not every helpmeet can help in the same area, the same way, So, if that's what you're meaning, oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Shalom, Chasing Life. I've never seen you here before, but shalom and welcome. Oh, you're welcome, Sister J. I believe women should have knowledge of. Okay, I'm gonna read Sister Angela's comment, and then we'll go back to what we were saying because it's still in line with what we're talking about. I believe women should have knowledge of the responsibility that comes with marriage. As a wife, you wear many hats. Understanding your potential husband's expectations will be a benefit. Yes, that is very true. Okay. So with that being said, let's talk about some things that you can work on in taking care of yourself, and then we'll go into things that will make you as a wife. You know, when we were first coming to the faith, at least in my experience, there's a lot of stuff that we didn't know. Like I got married before the faith, or before understanding biblical, any sort of biblical knowledge that wasn't Christianity. And we didn't know that there was a different status for women. You know, there's wife, there's concubine, and there's qualifications. Only thing I ever knew of marriage is if a man wants to marry you and you want to marry that man, you all get married in terms and say, well, I'm marrying you and I do, and those sort of things, and that makes you married. And then at that point, that makes that husband automatically a husband, and that's just it, and that makes you a wife automatically. What I didn't know until later is that those are still just titles if you don't put a meaning to it. And that's have been actually the hardest thing, because who gave guidelines on how to prepare for a marriage? Who gave guidelines that these, you know, to say you're a wife, that there is actually this big responsibility, and that there is something for you to line up to. And if you didn't line up with it, if you didn't meet that expectation, if you didn't perform as such regularly every day, you know, not a half of the time, or not even sometime every blue moon, or every Valentine's Day, you know, or every you know, every anniversary day, that's what you say, to anniversary, that means that you don't qualify to be a wife, because being a wife is a duty that is, you know, a wonderful duty at that. We all like the idea of being a wife. It's a beautiful thing. You know, we all dream about being a wife, right? But there's expectation, and it's a duty that you have like every single day for the rest of your life. And I think that's the part that, you know, we do not understand, because we get caught up and we stop at honeymoon. We stop at all the frilly stuff, all the stuff that make us feel good, a bunch of feelings and stuff like that. All the, you know, we get to touch on each other and all that good stuff. You know, that's what we get caught up in. We like the feelings that come along with somebody loving you and caring you. And, you know, television is all we have to tell us what that look like and feel like. And we get excited by that. That's what we're excited by. And so we get married. We're like, well, man, you supposed to do this for me because I'm your wife. And the man's like, you my wife by title, especially if he didn't know anything. But now that we know better, really, you have to be a wife, not just by title, but by what you do, by function, how you behave, how you perform. And you have to recognize it's an everyday thing. It's not you're a wife 3 days a week either, you know. And I think that's what causes a lot of frustration in marriage. A lot of frustration between men and women is because, you know, from a women's side, we can't function. We're used to functioning as a wife 3 times a week, or sometimes even none. And, you know, and at best, we meet the criteria for like a concubine or a servant. And that's hard to hear, especially if you're desiring to be a wife, to hear, you know, you ain't good, you know, almost like you ain't good enough to be a wife. But a lot of times you don't know your qualifications. So for some of you sisters who aren't married already, this is a perfect time to learn some things, so you can evaluate yourself and see, do you line up with what it is to be a wife, and use these tips and things and things that you're looking at, so you can actually be a wife when you prospectively get married. You know, you will know what that man is expecting of you, what is expected of you, and you can be honest with yourself and see if you meet that expectation. If you don't currently, it doesn't mean you can't get started on working on them things now.
Is that what you were saying about devotion?
Yes. So you wanted to put that in there? because I was going to go this way first, but you said you know how. What were you thinking?
Because you were saying that a woman be 3 days a week, or no days a week, you being a wife.
As we were, my sister and I were speaking, you know, there was also a note that when we're saying, when we're saying, you know, when it comes to take a wife, you have to be a wife every day, not 3 times a week. You know, that's where the where you know you have to be devoted. Because when you make that commitment, you're like making a lifelong commitment and something that you have to be devoted to. And if you know, and that reason another point, if we're not experienced of being devoted in anything, how can you be devoted to a man who's going to have an expectation of you, and you have to every day meet that expectation and be devoted to it every single day, even when your feelings get hurt, even when you're having a bad day, even when you don't feel good, even when you do something dumb, you have to get rebuked, even if you're devoted to it, you still have to get back up, or you still have to say, there's an expectation I am supposed to meet, even if you fall, even if you slip up one day, or whatever it may be, because then, you know, you have to be devoted to it every day. We can't get caught up in our feelings and emotions of, well, now I'm mad because I failed, so then I'm just keep failing. Because sometimes some of us have that's where we're not taking care of our mental health, and our emotions are not in check. We have that where you fail one day and you're like, well, I guess I can keep failing because you already pissed at me now, I already failed, so I'm a failure, I'm a big failure. And then you keep failing. Well, this is a lifetime devotion, and there are going to be things that come up, and you have to still perform. You still have to say, okay, I messed up here, this sucks, and still have to perform, still have to get through that daily. Because, you know, my master used to say a term with us when we'll talk about, you know, walking this out in perfection. He said, you know, he'll tell us that our ideas are perfect in a perfect world. You know, yeah, that sounds perfect, you could do all those things, that sounds great in a perfect world. But the reality is, in life, there's going to be things that come up and happen. There's going to be hard times, there's going to be struggling times, times that you struggle, or something in life may come that causes a struggle. There's going to be all that, and every day you still got to get up and do what you said you would do, what is expected of you, regardless of any of those things. And so anyways, we're going to go on and talking about mental health a little bit, and here's some questions that you should, or some things that you should look at when it comes to mental health. Are you healed from any traumatic experiences in your past? That includes any trauma that happened in childhood. That may include anything as far as relationship wise that you had in your past. That can mean anything that any other experiences you had as far as like molestation, and that can be also towards your emotional health as well. But in the mental health, anything like that, just how you view things, you know, where did you get that you have in your mind that, you know, you have to examine. These are ideas that I have in my mind about marriage. This is how I see marriage, and then see, does that line up with the book? You know, so these are some things when it comes to mental health that you have to look at. How do you take correction? How do you take rebuke? How do you see a man correcting you? How do you see a man being in charge of you? Like, if you think about it, I've had someone ask me before, I have to listen to the man like all the time, he has to tell me all the time. Well, what if he's acting like this? I still gotta listen like all the time. Like, I really gotta ask that question like all the time. It's like, yeah, all the time. And what do you think about when you hear that? Can a man tell you what to do and you're okay with that? Because that is what's required. That is proper order biblically. So, you know, mentally, you need to see how you view that. Sometimes, I think someone was mentioning something really good about, a lot of us don't know that we actually have trouble with men. Women have trouble with men because in their childhood or coming up, you were never raised to respect any man. You had no father to respect or honor. You had no man that was a positive influence in your life that you regularly respected and honored and listened to. So a lot of you may have men hating issues unknowingly, unaware, especially men when they're in authority over you. So that is something else to look at mentally. Do you have any trouble or struggles with that? And there are things that will cause that. If you grown up and in your childhood coming on up, you have bad experiences with mostly men. If a man molested you, you may have a trouble with starting to trust men when they molest you. Or if you got beat half to death, or some people experience a lot of child abuse, if it happened by a man, you may have some little struggles that you're going to have with a man being over you.
Or your father.
If your father either did something to you, I mean, nowadays, a lot of fathers have been found out molesting their own children. I mean, sometimes that happens. Fathers, family members, you may have some trust issues with men, or some damage with
or
men.
Trusting them with your life, because your father wasn't in your life properly to teach you how a real father is supposed to be.
And as Ripka in the background saying, that, you know, you may have a problem even trusting a man with your life because you couldn't even trust your father with your life. That's about right, Ripka? You couldn't trust your father with your life. He wasn't there to raise you, so you're like, well, what gives me the idea I could put my life in a man's hand? The last time I did that, he abandoned me. And that usually starts from childhood. That starts at home first. That's first what you see. A child coming up saying, where's my daddy? Or when you become conscious of it, and it's like, oh, you're going to go visit daddy. Wait a minute, why am I visiting daddy? What's going on? Daddy left us. Daddy didn't want to be with you. Or, you know, daddy don't no good. You start hearing that. You already got doubts and seeds planted in you about men already. So then you're going to trust a man to rule your entire life. That's hard when you have those sort of things. So those are some things you would want to examine mentally, to make sure you are healed of those things. Make sure you have understood, you know, what has happened in the past is that. Make sure you have prayed, make sure you have repented, and make sure you have just faced those sort of things. Come face to face with what has happened then, and put that in proper, you know, in the proper place where it belongs. If you are new now to truth, and being biblical truth, not just any truth, but biblical truth, like what the Bible says as what a woman should be, what a woman who is desiring to be a wife should be, and a man, realizing that, hey, we were all heathens at one point in time. Our parents were not walking out what the word says, and healing from that, forgiving them, and being able to move on from them. And say, okay, well, now I'm walking in a new life where I will be doing what the Bible says. I will be in order. I will have a man who loves Yah, who's going to teach me and help bring me up correctly. So, but those are things you want to look at. And those are things you'll want to get clarity on. Biblical knowledge. A lot of sisters, I think Sky put that in there, and so did Sister Angela. You know, just get clear understanding of what it is to be a submission, what it is a man expects of you. You know, part of being married or being covered, even being a concubine, in any type of a man covering you, and as a wife or even a concubine, that you know that you will eventually possibly have children. Either you'll be giving birth to children yourself, or you'll come into a home where a man has children to be raised. And those will be some things you want to get an understanding on as well. What it is to be a mother, according to what he wants, how he wants his children raised. If you're joining a home and they already have children, that's something that you want to prepare for too. So if there is a perspective, then you have an opportunity to ask questions and get some clarity on, you know, what it is a man of Yah is expecting from you as a wife coming in, raising his children.
I was gonna say also, like, we've been learning, like, how.
Speak up.
I was gonna say, with the children aspect, having children, which we're realizing also that we don't have ourselves in order. What kind of example are we going to be to our children? What are our children going to be learning from us? That coming from the Western world and our mindset that we have right now, that we're trying to unlearn. And if we don't have our mental health together and everything, that we're going to be teaching our children that, and our children are supposed to be better off than we were. They're supposed to be learning from birth biblical truth from us, and not learning the heathen's way, so that they have a better chance, so that this generation, our children, can have a better understanding and chance than we do.
I see some great questions, and I will be reading them. Not right this moment, but I will, because these are great, Sister Sky and Chasing Life. So we do see them. Those are good. Okay, so then another area that we were going to talk about. Thank you, Rivka. But another area we're going to talk about too is your physical health. So here's another one that you could look at in preparing for marriage. So one is you don't want to become a liability to the potential household you want to join, to that man or his household or his family, or even if you're getting married and say the man does not have a family as of yet. You are supposed to be there to be a helpmeet, help him with his vision, help him move or push whatever he's trying to do, and as much as humanly possible, as much as possible. You don't want to be a liability to him. You don't want to come in and you're already slowing down what he's trying to do, hindering what he's trying to do, or can't help push it because you have other things that is in the way in the physical that will keep you from being the helpmeet that you need to be. And this goes hand in hand with, this can go multiple ways. So this could come down to your physical health, where you are grossly or a lot overweight, and when you have those sort of issues and you're not working on them, if he has a task, you're supposed to be there to help him, and he's like, hey, I need you to push this, move this, do this, and do this, and you're like, I can't, because I can't work longer than 5 minutes without passing out, or I can't work longer than 5 minutes without being severely hurt or possibly being injured or anything like that, then it's going to be really, really hard to help you push something when you're not prepared for it. So that'd be something you want to look at. You know, you want a covering. You should want a covering as a daughter of Sarah. You should want a covering. So if you know that that's what you're supposed to do, you know that that is what Yah made you for, is to be a helpmeet to a man, then that's something you want to start looking at. What is my physical health like? Am I in shape? Am I at least working on being in shape, taking care of my health, so I can be healthy, so I can be able to move and get things done that he needs me to get done? I may have to chase after children. I may have to watch children and take them on doing this and doing that. If you see men, like a lot of you all watch our YouTube, but other brothers, you know, who have YouTubes or things like that, who live maybe off grid, or who lives a life of a lot of a lot of activity, a lot is going on, a lot of movement is involved, then, or they're raising animals and things like that. There's a lot going on that lets you know, or just give you a slight idea of what you're going to be doing. You're going to be constantly on the move. Her face is like, yes. You're going to be constantly on the move. Can you do that? Are you going to get there and be like, oh, you know, y'all going to have to count me out? Like, you know, that if you're asking to be a wife, he's trying to count on you, and you're telling him that he's going to have to count you out because you can't move more than 5 minutes. You know, those sort of things can be a hindrance. So those are some things that you will want to look at and work on. So there's that aspect. So taking care of your health is very important. Your physical health is very, very important. The way you eat, start examining how you eat. I don't know. I missed it. Pay attention to the way you eat. Pay attention, you know, if you're a glutton, that's probably the time to address it now. Don't wait. Don't let go of yourself. You know, a lot of women, when they're not married or they've been single for so long, sometimes they get in that mode of like, they just stop caring. They don't care how they carry themselves. They just go about life, and they don't care really if they put on weight, because they're like, hey, I ain't got nobody to impress. And the last thing you want to do is wait till the last minute to try to impress somebody. Like, oh, I see him, I want to marry him. Okay, now I'm going to get into shape. I mean, if you didn't know any better, that's one thing. But if you're hearing it now, you want to address it now. You don't want to wait that long, because sometimes you can let go of yourself so much that, you know, and here's this prospective man that you can marry, and he's looking at you, and who knows, maybe if you had yourself together a little more, he might have interest, but maybe he might look right past you because you didn't take care of yourself at all. And he's like, you're coming to him like a big old mess saying, will you take me?
Bro.
And then you're also like, well, since you're supposed to be an Israelite man, of course you're going to want me, because you just have to, because the Bible says you. It's like, no, it doesn't say he has to take anything. You know, so you want to present yourself as best as possible. You know, if you are really working at it and you desire to be covered and it is Yah's will, you know, a man may know, okay, yeah, every woman has some sort of issues, and there may be things that they will work through with you, and knowing that those things will get better, but they should be able to see some sort of path of you working on it. You should be able to lay it out like, this is what I'm working on, and you can see fruit of this. I have built this up for so long, and let Yah determine the rest for you from there. But if you don't do absolutely anything and you just come to him, hair undone, your teeth ain't brushed, or you're really overweight, or things like that, those things have an effect. Now, some men may not care, but most do.
And actually, isn't that biblical? Because the women in the Bible, there was a preparation time before they even came before the man.
Mm-hmm. Like Esther going to Ahasuerus. I actually been thinking about that one recently. That it's interesting. It was talked about how Esther was already beautiful. They was talking about her beauty even before she married the king and became the queen to Ahasuerus. She was already a beautiful woman. But when they were going to present her before her new husband, she had to prep first. They had months of bathing in oils, and that was the interesting thing. I thought, like, whoa, like, so they must have had to have some skin, soft skin and stuff. Like, and if you think about it, that's like really feminine, a feminine characteristic. A man like touching a woman's soft skin and things like that. And I thought that was interesting. Like, oh,
people want a Will Smith, but they look like Madea.
Oh man.
Naomi told Ruth to prepare herself.
Yeah, yes ma'am. You want to say that? Oh. Yeah, I mean, you can look at many biblical examples of women in the Bible. They prep. Some of them knew Ruth and Naomi. All of them, there was a preparation time. Is that?
Asking for location.
Oh boy. There was a preparation time, and it said that these women went and they prepped and they took care of themselves in some format. They took care of themselves, and then they were able to be presented before their husband or the king. And so he knew he was getting a woman. And my master has a running joke, and sometimes it's so ridiculous, but it's so true, but it's so ridiculous, but it's so true. And he'll say, I'm not trying to marry me. And we just like, oh my gosh, let him be the one. But that's like true. He's like, a man doesn't get married so they can marry another man. He's like, I don't want to marry somebody who look like me or act like me. So that goes in two ways. There's built like him. And sometimes, let me be honest, I remember hearing before comments about some women, you're naturally born. Sometimes you can't help with certain parts of your body that you're born with, right? Some women has a little bit more broader shoulders than the next woman, where another woman may have more feminine, whatever that means, feminine type of shoulders, or more girly looking, shoulders. I've seen women who naturally have shoulders that are like football players in a sense, kind of like in a sense. So all of us have maybe something that's not necessarily like maybe the others. It may be a little less feminine that maybe you were born with, let's just say, okay? So if that's the case, when you compound that with attitude, when you compound that with weight, when you compound that with just bad habits, all of that other stuff stands out. Like every feature about you starts to stand out in a negative light. You can help if you have a little bit more broader shoulders, but if you're feminine, if you behave as a woman, if you behave yourself, them broad shoulders mean nothing. It's part of you. It's part of how Yah made you, how you were built. And the man can see that and be like, well, that's part of her body, and I love it. I chose her just like that. But if he has to see broad shoulders with a bobblehead, or broad shoulders with loud mouth, or broad shoulders with a very masculine characteristics and weight, and then it looks really bad too if you really heavy, like heavy set, with broad shoulders, with masculine tendencies. Now you look like seriously a man, like you're built, everything about you starts to line up with that of a man. And then that's not what they want, and then we're kind of hurt, like, well, why wouldn't he like me or hurt me, and what did I do? It's like, because you let yourself go, and we weren't meant to be that way. So those are some things to think about as far as like
Sister K said, please.
Yes.
Women need to understand that in their preparation.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna read some comments, but let's go to Sister K. Okay. Sister K says, honestly, men are men. They are visual, but Be holy, not holy. Yes, ma'am. That is very good. And my master agrees with that. He gives that a thumbs up. Be holy, not holy. But yeah, they are visual. And they do look at things. Some people think also and have gotten a perception, if you're an Israelite man, that you ignore the physical because
Right.
everything is spiritual.
Right. Not true.
I'm so holy. That should be good enough. No, that's not true. Even the men in the Bible, you know, they continue. If you really watch and follow the patterns of, you hear about Sarah. You hear Sarah was beautiful. You hear about Jacob. You hear about Isaac. When you hear about these people, they talk about the beauty of the women that they were with. This woman was fair. This woman was beautiful. This woman, you start hearing about oils they were dipped in 10 times a day or whatever like that. So they probably was soft. Their skin probably felt really nice for a man. You know, they might have been really good to look at. They probably wasn't broken all out with acne all over the place. No, and no offense to anybody who may break out acne. We've all broken out acne. We know what that looks like. We've getting bumps on our face before. But we're talking about you're breaking out, you're not taking care of it, or you're eating something that, you know, because sometimes it could be just the way you eat. A bad diet will cause bad acne. Lack of exercise and movement will cause bad acne.
Lack of sweating.
The lack of sweating actually causes acne. And a lack of taking care of yourself spiritually, like being wicked, can also cause those manifestations. So you could go across the board. There's things that causes that. A lack of drinking enough water will cause bad acne. So I'm not saying if you have bad acne or you have whatever and some things happen, I'm not saying anything about you personally. If you know it's an issue that you need to deal with because you maybe need to drink some more water, work out more, you know, get your body moving more, then, you know, you can do those things. Is it something beyond that? I'm not speaking of that sort of woman. I'm just saying in general, you know, these sort of things do happen. So these are things that you can take care of in the physical. I'm going to read some comments because there are a lot of good comments that will be helpful for all of us. All of us, even here, us talking, and you all out there who has asked a question. These are some things that will be helpful for all of us, or something to us to be remind ourselves daily, because even we have to be equipped daily, and if we're not equipped, we need to deal with these things also. And sometimes if we're lacking in any area, we need to know that, and we need to address it as well. Sister Sky said, well, just being plain, if gut health is good, you will typically have healthy skin, hair, etc. Drinking enough healthy fluids, proportional fiber, vitamins, minerals, diversity, saturated fats, steady protein. Okay, so having those things, she's expressed that it will help with your physical health, your physical appearance. Doesn't do all of it, but it definitely does a good deal of it. And staying active. Please stay active. Like, that is like the biggest thing. We can't testify enough that we've had sisters. This one right here, she's the best testimony right now. And even our sister Lydia, since they've come here and been more active, weight has just melted off. She didn't have no special diet. She didn't even do a special workout. All she did was be active. She just wasn't sitting down because there's always work to do. And just by her literally being up on her feet and moving, drinking water, and eating healthier foods, eating from our garden. And also, but really, and just moving, just being active daily, not just spending time watching television shows and things that causes you to just sit down.
Yeah, I had a very sedentary life before marrying Master. So.
And how much weight did you have when you, in that time, when your life was like sedentary?
I've lost like 60 pounds since marrying Master in our first year.
First year. And,
I helped her some of that.
And so,
yes, you did, Master.
She's like, let's get that out. So then just sitting there in general will cause those sort of things. So if you get active, you know, that will help. Along with all that, the Sister Sky said, it will help in the physical area.
Working on the homestead.
Right. There was something I wanted to say. Something in particular I wanted to, okay, when I see it again. So that was something she said. Hold on. Oh my goodness, Ema Bema. Jay said, dang, okay. I was reading some comments and some of them were kind of funny. Okay, so I will still go back and read more comments in just a moment. Some of these comments are kind of funny. Okay, so anyways, that's an idea of physical health, and I want to thank Ema Bema too for talking to us too about it. It like lined up exactly with what we were already hitting on, so it was really nice. And it was like a second witness from a mother who's a little more experienced, who've grown up, who have years above us. And so, yes, Master. So another aspect of this was, emotionally. Are you emotionally healthy? You want to address your emotions before going to a man's house. What causes you to be an emotional wreck? You need to know what that is and what that looks like. Because if you're very emotional and you don't have your emotions in check, you will be tried, and that can be a disaster to a man's house, whether it be in any aspect. That can be a disaster if you have not dealt with your emotions, if you haven't matured the way you need to. A lot of times we have not matured like we were supposed to, and so we're sometimes we can be emotional as little children.
Oh yeah.
And we'll be trying to raise children and we still emotional like the children. So we want to address our emotional health. We want to work out any past issues that we have with anyone, any males or anything, that if if your parents treated you a certain way, you don't want to bring that to a man's house. If your last relationship went a certain way, you don't want to bring that drama to a man's house. All of that you need to deal with your emotions before you get to the man's house. You don't want to be telling no man that Johnny did this to you, did that to you. You want to be telling her, well, Johnny kissed me 5 times a day, so I expect you to kiss me 6. Because 5 times a day wasn't good enough even when Johnny did it, so I expect 6, because a righteous man would kiss me 6 times a day to beat Johnny. Or whatever. You don't want to, be emotionally, you don't want to come in with your emotions. Your emotions, if you're not mature and your emotions are not developed the way they're supposed to, you will start finding yourself having expectations of a man, and it will be flipped. Instead of him expecting you to be something as a wife and meeting his criteria and expectations, you'll be all jacked up in your emotions because really he's not meeting your expectations. And you'll be trying to reverse it, whether you are aware of it or unaware of it. So you want to have your emotions in check. They can't be all over the place, so you want to deal with those things. That'll be something you want to purge from. Even in you ever been raped or molested, that'll be something you want to deal with your emotions on. Because a lot of times people who've been in those circumstances, molestation or rape, they try to have criteria or expectations or they start feeling some sort of way just being with their own husband. If he touches her, oh, so-and-so touched me that way, and last time he did this, like, you don't want to bring that to your husband, and he has to feel guilty that he can't love on his wife, touch his wife, whatever it may be, because she's scared because she was raped before, as if he caused you to be raped, or as if it was his problem. And not to be less sensitive, but you want to get married, and you're going to bring that to him where he can't have his wife the way he wants her because she's all messed up over someone who took advantage of her. And he didn't put her in a position to be taken advantage of. Someone else did.
A man is not your dumpster.
So, yes, Master. Someone else has put you in that position. Maybe you put yourself in that position. And as my master say, the men, they're not our dumping ground. They're not our dumpster. They are not our place where we just go dump a bunch of our heavy load, our burdens that we carry prior to them, and say, here, I got all these burdens. Let me just put them all on you. Now you take care of them. He ain't Yahshua. You know what I mean? But he is going to lead you to that Yahshua. But before you get into that marriage, you know that you're dealing with some of these things. You deal with those ahead of time. You can't make it your master's fault or your husband's fault because you got yourself tied up in some bad past issues, past relationships, past marriages, past whatever it may be. So you want to deal with your emotions. Another thing in the emotional realm is deal with any emotions of lack of loving yourself, loving others, And if you know you are joining a man's house, this is very, very important. Deal with your emotions of wanting attention, or envy, jealousy, things like that. Because if you are a woman that's highly emotional, attention seeking, like all the time, that's what you have to have all the time, or you have to just have all this ground for things to be catered around you, or let's say, you hear a lot of women say that they don't get along with other women very well.
Mm-hmm.
That's like normal. Yeah, I don't get along with women very well. That's a problem. That's a big problem, because you may want to be with a man, an Israelite man, and he has another wife. What are you going to do? You're not going to be, what, you're going to go in there and have problems with the woman and can't come together as a unit, because you don't know how to have a relationship with the woman as your sister. You don't know how to have a relationship with the man. You want the man to give you your own individual time, attention, own individual time to look at you and stare you deep in the eyes, or rub on you all day, or whatever it is. You want it aside, like you have a set idea where he's going to spend this much time with me, separate from everyone else, or from the other woman, and that's what it's going to take to make you feel good. So those are things you have to examine. And that's where you have to get your emotions under control.
Yes. So, and the reason why you want to get your emotions under control and start preparing, because all of these things, they can hinder your master's vision. They can hurt him, because he's taking time out of what he can be doing to further his vision, or to work on his family, move his family forward, or do what Yah has for him to do. He's taking time out with all of the baggage and everything that came before him that he had nothing to do with, taking that time to deal with that instead of doing what Yah has for him, and doing his vision, and fulfilling his vision that Yah has had for him. He's having to deal with things that he had nothing to do with, that you made decisions to, those bad decisions, or that you made prior to him.
Where? Many scars.
They need to get deliverance.
Our master said that they need to get deliverance.
They need deliverance, and they need to forgive.
They need deliverance, and they need to forgive. We've all had to do that. We're just trying to let those know who don't have a husband yet, that are wanting to prepare to do these things before you come into the marriage. Because if you bring it there and it has to be dealt with there, it just causes more problems, and it takes the man's focus off of what he's supposed to be focusing on.
One of the things that in the emotional health, and then we'll move on, that Ima Bima was saying too, that lines up exactly what we're talking about, just an idea, was if you are not mature or emotionally stable, you will become a stumbling block to the peace in the home. And remember, the women are supposed to help bring peace to the home, but you'll be a stumbling block to that peace for the man as well. If you're attention seeking, a competitive nature, and insecure, these are all emotions that will start to cause issues in the home. So you do have to grow and mature in those areas as part of your preparation in mental health. And then another thing is too, another good thing that was said was, how you carry yourself as far as like hygiene. And one of the comments was, if the woman does not take care of her home where she presently lives. So listen, for you women who are single, who's seeking to be married, if you don't take care of your home now where you presently live, if you don't practice good habits of cleanliness in the natural and in the physical, then you won't practice those habits those things will be revealed in a marriage. Any sort of uncleanliness you have, clumsiness, all those sort of things. The lack of care for the things that you have, or taking care of it, whether it be your body, your home being your body, or whether it be your physical place that you live, your physical location. All of those things do come out in a marriage. You can't go to somewhere and think, oh, I'm going to change it once I get there. You are not even in habit of that. You don't know how. Because even when you begin to learn to take care of things or take care of yourself, if you've had a lifelong habit of not taking care of things, not taking care of yourself, it takes time to build that habit and build that up. So you're not going to get it the day that you walk into a man's house. The point of the term preparation is to prepare, to foresee beforehand. You want to foresee this ahead of time. You foresee the problem before you even, get to this situation. You're looking to get married, and you say, this is going to be a problem. This is what I'm going to be expected to do. Let me start making those preparations right now today. Because you don't know when that Yah has this head that's going to cover you, and you can't just expect when you get to where you're going, that's when you're going to get it together. We can't have the here and now mentality where things are just going to change instantly because you got there. Because it doesn't. We tried it. It didn't work. It don't work like that. And so these are some things that you want to look at. In Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach 36:24-25. Can we go to that? Did anybody go? We are going to read that. Oh, Sister Jaylee, shalom. Sister Deborah, shalom.
Shalom.
Okay. So Sirach, chapter 36, starting at verse 24, it says, "He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like to himself, and a pillar of rest. Where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. And he that have no wife will wander up and down mourning." But we're going to mostly focus on the fact that it says, "He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession." So that lets you know, for the person and the people who are asking the question about, preparing for a wife, what are you looking for? What are you supposed to be to a man? You're supposed to be his possession. By getting you, he's supposed to have a help like unto himself, as the scripture says, and then you're supposed to bring him rest. And that's why it was important to deal with your emotions and your health, because those things don't give him rest. If he don't have no peace, you're not providing him rest, because rest and peace is very closely related. You bring him rest, you bring him peace. And if you don't, if you are not emotionally stable, if you don't keep focused, if you let go, if you're not paying attention, you're going to start to bring him agony and pain. That's not rest. He's not going to have no peace when you're an emotional wreck. You know what I mean? Because you have past things that you didn't deal with, or you have all these ideas. And so these are the times we examine those things. And that's why it's so important. So if you didn't know that, that will be something you want to work on. So see if you want to be able to bring the man rest. So make that a priority to deal with it. And so the next portion that was also important that we want to talk about, together with what we were saying you should prepare for in the physical, the mental, the emotional, hygiene, wine, and all those things, we want to conclude it with this in a sense, and then we'll read some questions. Read some comments. Is this: ultimately, what is it going to take for you to be a wife? There's the biblical criteria of you're supposed to be able to obey, submit, reverence the man as unto Yah, so you're reverencing him because he is your covering, he is your head, he is what leads you to the Father, he is the savior of the body. You need to recognize what he is to you, recognize that there is a difference between you and him, and respect him in that light. Follow his direction in that light. You know what I mean? Don't look at him like he is just like the next man next door, or he's the same as your cousin over here, or some other man. He's not that way.
brother.
He's not your brother, and like, well, he's your brother. He ain't your brother in that way. So you know, you just like brother so and so over there. No, he's not, because he's taking the responsibility for you. There is a big difference between a brother that says, "Shalom, my sister, hallelujah, praise Yah." He ain't taking on all that you are dealing with. He don't take care of you. He don't provide the roof over your head. He don't feed you. He don't nourish you. He ain't bringing you up in likeness of God, and nor is Yah judging that brother on your behalf, or judging you on that brother's behalf. It doesn't go that way. He's gonna put, this man is investing in you. He is investing in you as his wife, as his helpmeet, and he wants to see the fruit of what he's putting into you. So when you are looking and you're saying, well, what is the qualifications of a wife? Well, that's one thing. You have to be able to meet those criteria. You got to be able to submit. You got to be able to obey. You got to be able to put aside your wishes, your desires that were created elsewhere, and take on the wishes and the desires and the motives and the vision and the things that is important to your master. Because if you take on what's important to him, you can't really dissatisfy him. Because if you make and dedicate and devote yourself to what's important to him, you can't really go wrong. Now that doesn't mean that. You want to say it?
Oh, she was saying all the what you want to take on to be a wife, and I was just saying that taking on his mind, how he thinks, the way he thinks, and you want to, as much as you can, understand and rid yourself of all of these emotional baggage, all the things that you acquire, you know, in the world, in the Western culture, that you acquire, that will hinder you from being able to download and take in what your master wants to invest and put into you. All of those things can block. It can.
What? Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh. You won't be able to take on a mind and assimilate to your husband if you have all these things in the way. So you want to, as much as you can, prepare and prepare yourself before your husband, so that you can assimilate to him faster and easier, without having to, you know, put yourself through heartache and pain, because he's having to deal with you in a harsh way, because you're coming with the mindset you want to do your own thing, or you have emotions and stuff because he talked to you harshly, and you don't feel that it was right. And you don't want him to. Another thing I was going to say in the emotional realm is, you want to know and be aware of your emotions. You don't want to have what we call a schizophrenic nature. One day I'm happy because this was good. I'm getting, you know, this is going my way this day. The next day, I'm unhappy. I don't have peace. I'm not bringing peace to my husband because I didn't get my way, or he didn't look at me a certain way. He didn't give me this many kisses like he normally does, or so on and so forth.
Oh, wow. Right. Okay.
You don't want to have a schizophrenic nature, because your emotions are all over the place, and they depend.
Okay.
Everything, your emotions depend on.
Oh, man. I'm getting sad.
Okay, we're getting the babies together.
Okay. Apologies for sure.
You don't want to have what my master calls a schizophrenic nature, where your emotions are all over the place. This day you're one way, this day you're another way. He won't know who you are, because you're never consistent, you're never the same, and then he's not going to be able to trust you. You're going to lose his trust, and he's not going to be able to trust you. So those are that's what I wanted to mention too about emotional health, that some women, even myself, and what we've learned too, about the schizophrenic nature of a woman.
He did.
Okay.
Yeah, he did also.
And how that can affect your master's vision and affect your relationship with your master, where he's not able to trust you because he doesn't know what person he's going to get this day. When he wake up, you can wake up one person, the next morning you're waking up another person. Yeah, so that's all I want to say.
Yeah. Ask Lydia, what did she do to get herself ready?
Our master wanted us to ask Sister Lydia, how did she get herself ready? What were some of the things in her preparations and before marrying our master?
I would say some of this actually started months before even speaking to our master. Some of it was making sure that I had broke all soul ties with other folks, and that's not just through like people I've dated, but just people that were really close to me, and that I just was like, I know I have a soul tie with them, I need to break it. So, and when I say soul ties, I mean connections. Like a lot of people can understand when it comes down to other relationships that you may have had previously, that they may have bought you something and you're like, well, I broke up with them, so it really doesn't matter, it's okay, they said I could keep it. Well, I was like, oh man, I didn't know anything about soul ties, and I was like, I don't want nothing, absolutely nothing. And so there are people I drove to their house when they were at work and dropped it off and left a little message on their door. Hey, by the way, look in your grill. What you gave me is there. And that was it. Some people were like, why did you do that? You could have kept it. You could have sold. I want nothing to do with them because I didn't want to come in the next relationship, as in marriage, holding on to any of that. So maybe it's not a relationship. Maybe it's somebody, it could be a friend.
I want you to, because there's a commenting on what you brought into my house.
Oh,
Talk about how you prepared yourself to come into my house and how you did not take away from it, whether it be emotionally or spiritually, how you added not just the physical, but the work ethic, the vision, how you use your skills from your past to bless my house.
As well, besides doing soul ties, a master wanted me to emphasize on a couple of things. Now, when I came into my master's home, well, I should say prior to that, I was already looking to go off grid. So I purchased land on my own. I started, years prior, started storing food up. So all of that stuff, the tiller, if any of you saw the previous Daughters of Sarah video that was done, I was out using a tiller. I bought that 5 years ago. All the things that I had, solar panels, like I said, food, sewing machines, cloth, different things like that I just thought, hey, I'm getting this and it's gonna help me when I'm off grid by myself, with my dog, and I will have things to do. I can keep busy in the winter. If anybody knows what winters are like in central New York, and then where I bought land, you're not leaving for 3-4 months. That's just it. You might be locked in for a month. Can't get out your driveway, can't get down the street. That is it. It's in the middle of nowhere. But, so I thought it here now, maybe a couple years later, I'm good to go. But y'all had a next vision for me. And so all those things that I acquired became my master's, my husband's. And without knowing it, everything that I acquired fit into his home. The tools, the solar panel, all of these different things, the tiller, all of them, they became my masters. They became part of his household. So it wasn't like I came with nothing and like, okay, well, I'm gonna go and he's gonna have to get a next year's supply of food, because I had heard him say these things on previous videos and on his live streams, that, you know, if the next person comes in, I got to worry about opening up more garden space. I have to get a year's supply of food for them. Well, when I came here, like, opening up garden space, all right. French fry out there is being opened up without him having to put so much work on his body. Food supplies, guess what? Came in without him having to be like, well, now I got to work with funds and try to get this, more of that. He didn't have to go and do all of those things. Now, I didn't know that's how it was going to work out. So you might be thinking, oh, well, the here and now, like, let me get this, let me acquire this. I'm thinking I need this right now. Y'all might be saying, yeah, you got a purpose for it right now, but I got a bigger purpose for when you get a covering, because it'll fit exactly where it needs to go when you get there.
Did you ever have to forego vacations and nice shoes and purses?
Oh, heck yeah. My master's asking, did I have to forego vacations, nice shoes? Yeah, I did. I ate a lot out of my garden. I did not buy a lot of excess stuff. Now, sometimes I'd buy a little something extra here and there, but shoes, clearance, Walmart, $3. Like, that's how I shopped. So to make sure that I had enough of this, enough of that, and when I say this and that, I'm talking about food storage, getting tools that were needed. I still have to make a trip back to New York because I still have more things that need to come here that will benefit here, benefit the work and the vision that my master has. Not only the things, it's not just about things like, oh, well, I paid for this and I paid for that. It's not just about that, it's your skills as well. So before coming, I already knew how to sew. I was canning, just various different things like that.
You were twerking, right?
No twerking, no twerking. I mean, not that that's not a good skill, because it's a good skill if you have a covering and he don't mind you dropping it like it's hot. But that was not a skill that I was trying to pick up on.
So your skill wasn't gossip, slander,
no, there was.
laziness,
Oh, heck no.
going about from house to house.
Oh no. So
Facebook.
what? No, I don't even have a Facebook. It might still be there from the past.
Facebook, Instagram.
I definitely have no Instagram or anything
Snapchat.
like that. What? Wait.
Snapchat.
No,
That's
no
okay, that's
Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Oh, none of that. That was not my concern. I stopped watching TV, even though I have a TV. But I had no purpose. I brought a Wii that I had for a couple years. And I was like, well, you know what? I actually talked to Sister Zion before I even got here. And she was like, you know, we have bits and pieces of our Wii left, like the controllers and things like that. But we don't know what happened to the Wii. I said, well, you know what? I have one. And I don't even use it. Those things were not important to me anymore. What was at that time, what was important to me, and before speaking to Sister Zion and the sisters, was I needed to get out. I didn't want to be in the city any longer. To me, I was talking to my family. It was like, you guys need to prepare. I got rid of friends. Like, I did that when I was in my early 20s, but I was cutting, and I really didn't have much left. Besides the things that I was acquiring, which I really thought the skills that I was trying to pick up, plumbing, building, I thought like, hey, these skills, I'm gonna need all these skills, and I'm gonna be by myself, I'm gonna need these. But really, now I may not be using them now, but in time when my master needs them, he can be like, well, you know what, I know Lydia knows how to can this, can that. If you look up here, a lot of the canned goods up here, besides, like, not the fermented stuff, but the other stuff that is canned, those were came from my garden. And I was like, okay, I gotta get this. I'm not gonna be going to the store. In my book, I was gonna go to the store 4 times out of the year, and that was it. I'm gonna be good. But all the additional skills that have been acquired by myself.
I just want to just draw a comparison, because look at the skills that she brings and then look at the skills that an average woman brings into a man's life.
Right.
Your average worldly woman who's bringing in drama, likely debt, and you can speak on that one. She's not bringing debt. Most of these women bring drama, debt, children, baby daddy drama, all that stuff. I don't have to do any of it.
No, our master is just talking about the baby daddy drama, drama in general. Because come on, ladies, we know if we were out, a lot of us were out in the world, didn't have anybody teaching us from youth to womanhood how to walk in this faith. And because of that, we've seen the drama out there in the world. We might have been part of the drama that was out in the world at one time. But when we come over, just like I did, no. I know there was even going to be a concern because I actually came out of my mother's home. Even though I had land, I was working on it, getting prepared, because by October, I was moving. That was it. That was the deadline I gave to myself. By October, I'm out of my mom's house. My land will be together. That's it. But it just didn't work out that way. I'm here instead. And you know what? And that's okay with me. I am happy for that. I know Sister Zion has asked me before, like, what were you gonna do with all that you had? Like, it's not like you didn't have anything. And it's like, yeah, I could have just chose to be doing my own thing. I could have chose to continue on the path that seemed okay, but there was still that piece that was missing, the covering. So I traded in all the stuff that I had, which some women would have probably been like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not giving over all of that. I worked so hard for that. I'm not doing it just to keep that, to not have a covering. Heck to the na-na. That's not going down like that. We chose to give it up. I chose to give it to my master because guess what? I can, even the land that I have, he's looking to sell it. And I have no big deals about that because guess what? There are things that are needed here. And this is going to help his vision. So instead of bringing the dropping it like it's hot as the only skill that I have, let's booty shake it, all that, the drama, baby daddy, hot mess, he didn't get that.
May I add to that real quick? Yes,
Yeah.
a little part that she said. And then, you notice she said she had land he's gonna sell because things are needed here. But it's not about even necessarily what's needed here, because y'all put our master on a vision. His vision was already being moving. And whatever y'all was gonna give him, or whatever y'all knew what he needed ahead of time, that was gonna be provided. The point being, though, by her having that and by her humbly saying, hey, this belongs to my master, is this: nowhere in the Bible do you find a woman ever on her own accumulating anything. So but y'all knew, yes, I will have a people in captivity. And yes, because of the culture, because of the way they are being raised, women will accumulate things that they never really was supposed to have to begin with. And because of that, y'all knows how to take what's going on in your life when he brings you to him or draws you to him. And when you accumulate things, he already had a plan for him. And it was never the plan for the woman to just accumulate stuff because she had some great plan. It was always, always his nature that he gave a plan to the man and the woman helped. So the way he seems to use women nowadays, if you are coming from this society or been raised Roman, that you accumulate things. If you're an Israelite, just know he's not having you accumulate things because you are so great and he wants you to have some great vision as a woman. He's probably likely having you accumulate things because his plan is bigger than you. And that was the importance of, even the things that she is possessing, the skill. He was already preparing her. He knew she was going to need a covering. That he created it this way. He knew she was going to have a covering. He knew already what he wanted our master doing and how he wanted his vision pushed. So it had more to do with what she was accumulating, Yah said it wasn't yours to begin with. It wasn't yours to begin with. It was going to be used the way I wanted it used to begin with. So that was kind of the cost. That was kind of what you got belongs to your master. And that's part of marriage just in general. And I think a lot of women, if you can understand that, you know, because we're not taught that in Western ways of thinking. We're not taught what you have don't even belong to you. Right. Because you don't even belong to you.
Right.
A lot of us quote, we ain't our own. We ain't our own. We belong to someone else. We are not our own. But then we go into marriage and act like we are our own. You know what I mean? We are not our own. That's true. So since you're not your own, what you have, it wasn't for you to for it to be your own. It was supposed to be for somewhere else. So that is the big thing about, you know, this preparation. God didn't have it to be her own to begin with. So he put it right where he wanted it to be, in the hands of the man that he is leading and guiding down a vision, down a path. So it was put right where it needs to be.
And I will say this, for some folks, they may not have known, and I don't have a problem being very transparent. I did have a son at one point in time. Part of me buying the property was because of that. In my son's passed, I tried to sell that property. Actually, 2 times. It did not sell at all. Because I was like, you know what? I don't even know what I want to do with this at this moment in time. And I now understand it was not meant to go anywhere just yet. And because initially I was like, okay, not gonna sell, no problem. I'm just going to go ahead and do what I said I was going to do with it and go live on it. But that wasn't Yah's plan either. And since this is part of my master's vision, it came here with me to him. I believe and know that it will be sold now. Somebody will buy it, and it will help further the vision Yah gave to my master. I believe that. You could ask me that in the middle of the day, in the morning, at nighttime, wake my tail up at midnight, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and it will be the same. I truly believe that. The other thing is, ladies, if you have skills, if you have something to bring to the table other than your tail, your behind,
baggage and emotions.
And right, baggage and emotions. Drama. But you actually have some skills. You decided, you know what, I'm gonna start putting this away. When you get covered, do not think of it as this is mine. This is mine, and I brought it, so I should have it. You can't touch it. I'm not gonna lie. Initially, when I first got here, I'm like, well, dang, that's not exactly how I would use that. But then understanding, wait a second, it is not mine. It is now given over to my master. I am his possession. So whatever comes with me is now his possession too. I mean, he probably don't want, you know, some personal things that are right. Mine as a woman's, but everything else that is not that is his, and he can do as he sees fit. So try, like, in preparing yourself, if you have all of these many different things, skills, and even if you have money, like you have other things like actual possessional things, a car, a van, don't hold so tight to it. Don't hold so tight to it, because you become the possession, and all the rest of the things that come with you are possessions that then belong to him. So get your mind focused on that as well, so that you're like, okay, well, I did good in this area, I feel I'm prepared. And then you get there and you have all these additional things, and you're like, well, wait a second, I'm not really ready to hand you over that, because that's not being prepared at all. Understand, when you become a possession, all the rest of the things that you have are his possession too.
Yeah, and we can't come with the mindset also in that, like Sister T and Sister Lydia was saying, how we are requiring these things for a bigger plan for our husband, and we can't have the mindset that, oh, I had to give this up, or I'm giving this up for my husband, and you know, still having that it's like it's mine. I was an independent woman. I was doing this on my own. I was doing that on my own. Having the mindset that everything that I have was given to me to help me be a wife to my husband, help me be a possession to my husband, help my husband's vision. Having something that I am investing into my husband's vision. The skills, anything that was acquired, everything that Sister Lydia acquired, that was actually something that she was able to use to invest into my master, taking her on as a wife into my master's vision. And because we have to be honest with ourselves, we are not worthy to even have the things that we have to even be a wife. So our masters are taking on a lot by even taking us. We're not virgins. So all of that baggage, all of that input that was put into us by other men, you know, or having children out of wedlock, all of this independent women mindset, Western culture mindset that we have in us, that our husband now, it's a burden and a baggage that we're bringing to our master. Our master has to, I'm saying our master because that's what we call our master, but our husband has to deal with that and take that on. Whereas, you know, that's not we wouldn't, back in biblical days, we wouldn't be qualified to be a wife at all. So our masters don't even have to take us on as wives. We should be grateful and thankful that our master is even taking a chance and basically a risk on even taking us. Okay. So we have to look at it as an investment.
Jasmine Goldstone asked a question. She said, what was the courting process for you, Sister Lydia, with your master? And so my question is, sisters, do you all have a problem with my master actually answering that question? Yes.
I don't know if y'all can see it on there. Is it buffering? Okay.
No, it stopped. Right. Oh no, it wasn't doing it no more.
Yeah.
No. That's right.
No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay.
No, not at all. No, ma'am. Absolutely not. Not at all. All right. So everyone says not at all. Thank you, Sister Scott. Nope. No, nobody has a problem. Okay. So I am going to ask of my master to answer that one. To give you some understanding on that.
And actually, with the investing thing, our master said, just one more thing. Our master said that is how he did with Sister Lydia, and oh, okay.
Yeah, because
maybe he's going to say that right now.
I didn't know how to.
What was I gonna say?
I was just talking about the investing and how you.
Oh yeah.
That's how you deal with Sister Lydia. Yeah. That's how you're going to do it. But you're probably going to say it.
Oh, wait a minute. How did we start talking?
I initially found your channel and I sent him, was listening and I was like, well, dang, my master was talking on some things and I was like, well, dang, I was having some issues with that same the subjects he was talking about. And I think it was that very same night, then he opened the door. He was talking about women being covered and he opened the door to say, hey, if you're not covered, you're looking for a covering, you can email him. The email is in the description. So I emailed him. And yeah.
Okay, first sister, was it Jasmine Golston?
Yes.
Jasmine Golston. I don't court. I don't do what the world traditionally calls courting, because nowhere in the Bible, and this was revealed to me by another brother, Brother David Journey Akers, that there was no courting in the Bible. You don't see that concept or that construct anywhere in the Bible. But she let it be known that she was interested, and we started communicating. Right?
Through email, that's right.
Well,
It was
email
through
first.
email.
It was
because
email first.
Everything wasn't going through WhatsApp.
That's what it was.
And I started praying about that. I was like, okay.
Yeah. It was through email first. And eventually we ended up going to WhatsApp. But essentially what it is for myself is, the first thing I want to know that she was real. Because I have gotten quite a few people who have even asked to join the sisters chat, and the people just don't seem real. They don't seem like real people. They seem like somebody that's game playing or whatever it may be. So I asked her, I said, can you show me a picture, your driver's license? Show me your driver's license with your name and the state and your picture. I don't need to see the details. I don't want to see your DL, your driver's license number. I just want to make sure you're a real person. And she sent it, no problem. And I was like, oh, okay, so you are a real person.
That same night, I also sent the thing showing that I owned land.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then she sent was a copy. Now I have not. This is the first time I had ever talked with her. Now she had watched my. So she said, I just want to make sure that you know I'm real. And then she sent me was it the deed?
Not the deed, through the county. They have a website that shows you who owns what land, how much land it is, and all of that.
That. So at that point in time, I knew she was pretty serious. She was pretty serious about, because a lot of people make that initial inquiry, and you find out that a lot of them really aren't serious about what they're living. So she showed a seriousness. So I talked with her for a lot. And that moment, I started actually putting her through, would you say small tests?
Yes. You started that
vetting. I started, oh yeah, I did.
You were like, well, let me see you post something on YouTube, like on one of the older videos.
Yes.
Because I want to make sure that you're not a dude.
I want to make sure you're not a dude. Because I do things, y'all be surprised how many game players there are. You'd be surprised at how many women literally, and I know this because some have come to me and told me they were part of ministries and camps, and their whole goal, and I'm not playing, their whole goal was to, if the camp or ministry had an enemy, the camp basically recruited her, or the ministry or the church or whatever group it was, recruited her to basically try to infiltrate men's homes and get information and take it back to the leaders of the group. There were women who actually told me that was their point. They were basically, and this was in the faith, they were basically camp, ministry, group hoes. And they were convinced that was them serving Yah. Also, one of the things that I strongly look for is simple obedience. Honestly, I'm not really concerned about how many Bible verses you memorized, because a lot of people know the book, but they don't live it. So I was interested in, can she do the things that the book requires? Submit, obey. Does she know how to reverence? And what is her baggage looking like? So I put her through different tests. Can she simply just do what she's told? Just simple. She's interested in joining my house, and I'm interested in her, but I ain't desperate. So can she obey and submit? So I just asked her to do simple, like post a comment on this video. And it was a video like, 4 months old, 5 months old. Post a comment in that video, and I just sit back. And she commented immediately and was like, okay, what else? I was like, huh. Because you know how women are today. They'll sit back and say, well, you know, why do you want me to do that for? That's not the question. I asked a simple thing. It's a simple request for you to comment. She flew through all of the comments, all the tests that I put through, the initial ones. So then I said, I'm going to get you in contact with. Now, they put their feelers out on her. So they started communicating with her. Eventually, we got to a point where Tabernacles was coming. And at that Tabernacles, Sister Elaine, that is right. That is just a form of prostitution. That is a form of prostitution. So when Tabernacles was coming, I talked to the host and said, do you mind? There's a sister that I am greatly interested in. Would you mind if she is vetted? And what I mean by that is I trust, and it's my beloved brother David and HOQ, them two. So Sister Sky, Sister Nina, Sister Key, and Sister Amy were very crucial. I brought Sister Lydia, the Tabernacles. And that allowed her to work amongst other sisters because I trust their husbands greatly. I trust Brother David, love HOQ. No. So that gave her the opportunity. Baby. Sorry about that. Keep them in your lap. So that gave, are y'all even on the, okay. So that gave, oh, I gotta put this back in. Okay, I hope I'm coming in clear. Sorry about that. So that gave her the opportunity to be around other sisters and be vetted by them. Also, it allowed the brethren to see her, watch her mannerisms, watch how she does things. And then obviously their wives were going to talk to them, being the brothers, and then they would come to me and let me know what they saw. So she came to Tabernacles, and at Tabernacles, she the report was great. And I didn't spend time with her at Tabernacles. I stayed away from her.
Sometimes you didn't speak to me.
Sometimes I didn't even speak to her.
Before I even got here, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I didn't even talk to her. I would wake up and she'd already be out there, you know, helping with other sisters, and I would just go through my day and didn't say hang out with the brothers. And I think you would see me like at dinner time maybe. I mean, I'd pass by you.
Yeah, or serving food.
I'd pass by her and she'd be like, and she'd wave, and then I wave back and keep pushing. With that, I wanted her to spend the time with the other sisters to see what they thought about her. Their report was excellent. On who she was, on her character. They let me know any things that they possibly may have seen that may have been an issue, and one of them was she just kind of sat in the back. She was still filling everybody out. Go and take them and feed them. What would you say? How would you say? Oh, also, before Tabernacle, she actually came here to the Rock and spent
a week
before Tabernacles, and that allowed her to see how I live. Because a lot of people love the idea of, oh, I would love to live, you know, and grow food and work hard. I'm like, no. I want you to see how it is that I live first. I don't want you to come or to have some crazy romantic idea. And no, there was no inappropriateness at all. But I didn't want people to get the idea that there is any sort of, it's a walk in the park. So she came here, she reported specifically to Ripka and Zion, worked alongside them, and at that time that gave me an opportunity to actually watch how she, now obviously at this time, the intent is known, I'm letting her know I'm interested, I let her know I'm interested in her also. And, but that allowed her to spend time with the sisters in a more, I would say, what's the term? I guess intimate setting where she worked alongside them. And that gave me the opportunity. And I'll tell you that was so valuable to me, to watch her walk alongside, work alongside them, whether it be they were moving soil or harvesting food or whatever it may be. It allowed me to see her. Then we went to Tabernacles, and then at Tabernacles is when I actually let her know that, yeah, I'm interested, beyond interested. I want you to be my wife. And during one of the the late night fireside chats with all the brethren and everyone there, I let it be known, and she said yes. She said yes. So, but one of the most, I mean, and I can't testify to, in reality, how her character actually was, because a lot of people say they want marriage. I could see that she actually wanted marriage. She actually wanted to be part of something. It wasn't a test. It wasn't a
what was the time from the email to Tabernacle?
What was the time from the email to Tabernacles?
I think we started
Zion.
emailing in June.
About 3 months. So about 3 months between first email and then the invitation to Tabernacles. Well, and Tabernacles. You said it was June?
Like June, and then end of September I came.
Okay. June and the end of September she came and spent the time with the first week and then Tabernacles, and then what was it? October I asked her to be my wife. And she said yes at that point in time. And I'm gonna tell you something. Some of y'all may be surprised. I mean, her character in wanting, because a lot of people say they know what they want. She actually showed me she knew what she wanted. Actually showed me. And that was the most powerful thing, is it wasn't just some sort of thing that, well, I want to try it out. You know, because I get a lot of people that want to try stuff out. They want to try out polygyny. They want to try out homesteading. And they think my home or other brothers' homes are the place for them to try out marriage. Marriage is not a tryout. When you sign that paper, that vow, you know, just to let it be known, I have never removed a woman out of my house. The women choose to leave, or the woman choose to leave, because they don't want to adhere to the rules that are set. But so with Sister Lydia here, even before she let it be known of the stuff that she had, because did I ever ask you how much money you made?
No, Master.
Did I ever say, what do you own?
No, Master.
Never asked her those things. She volunteered the information. I never said, how do you do this or how do you do that? She volunteered the information because I didn't want her to think, like what we've been speaking about in the streams, is that like a lot of men do, that use the woman as the great come up. And, huh? Oh, okay, let me see. What question did you ask her during the stage you was still getting to know her? And did you go over Sister Gina's book? I did not go over Sister Gina's book. I did not.
I actually bought it because I actually bought the book and started reading it because I think it's been a year and a half ago, Sister Zion had did a video that I went back and started looking at a lot of the older videos, and it was mentioned there. So I was like, well, shoot, I better get this book too. But no, that was not really incorporated. He didn't ask me to get the book or anything like that. And I didn't even finish reading the book. I gotta be honest with you. I didn't even finish reading the book. So as far as I'll go with that.
Sister Jasmine, I asked her a lot of questions and getting to know her. I didn't do what you typically see on TV. What's your favorite color, dear? I immediately went in. Mm-hmm. I asked her things like, well, how many men have you been with? Mm-hmm. When's the last time you were sexually active? Mm-hmm. Because that's going to tell me what soul ties that she may have that are intact in her. I don't want a woman who just got done sleeping with Ray Ray 2 weeks ago, and now suddenly she decides that she wants to be a wife. No, you don't. So with her, I asked her those questions. I asked her, what are the questions I asked you?
How tall
she was.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
How
And
much
about
did-
weight?
How much did you weigh? How much do you weigh? All the questions they say that you're not supposed to ask a woman,
Oh, he
I
did.
make sure I asked all of them.
He did. He did. No shame in his game.
No shame. Because I
was
want to
like,
know who.
oh,
I want to know who. What are your health issues?
I think I sent that in the
Yeah.
email first. I was
Yep.
just like, let me just put it
Yep.
up there.
She let me know. I have a health situation that I need deliverance from, and that I'm working on. I said okay, and she was honest. One of the things that I actually talked to her in our what? When did I ask you to get an STD test?
I think that was more closer to
Tabernacles.
Well, I brought the paper too. I sent pictures of the paper when it came back, and I took a video while I was there. I was like, I want him to know I'm doing this.
I said because I have a responsibility as a man. I have Rip Gun Zion here. I'm not going to bring somebody in who's got every single A B C D E S E F G disease in their body. So I asked her. I said I need an STD test. She took the STD test, took a video while she was there, while they were drawing her blood, because she wanted it to be known, and then sent me the results once the results came back.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks before Tabernacles.
Yes.
About a month.
Yes, about a month. What other questions I asked her? I mean, I don't think it's a matter of what question did I ask her. What question didn't I ask her?
I think that is the truth.
I may have asked her probably well over 500 to 1,000 questions.
What's her relationship with her family?
What's her relationship with her family? Her mother. Has she gotten over the fact that she lost her son?
What's her mental state like?
What's her mental state like because of that situation? Can she come in and help mother my children that I already have? Is she sure about that? What does she eat? What are her skills? And then not just what are your skills, because I've had situations where brothers will let me know, they've let a woman know, they ask for her skills. I can sew and cook, and I'm canning. Actually, I had a situation like that, where I was talking to a sister, and she's telling me that she can can, and she's been canning for all this time, and I said, well, show me. She couldn't show me nothing. So I asked Sister Lydia, you can, right? Yeah, show me. I want to see your cans right now. I want you to stop what you're doing right now. I am a video call you right now, and I want to see what you're canning. And she called me and showed me the stuff was in the canner. She was canning. She said, I can sew. No, I'm not taking your word for it. Show me what you're sewing. Sew me what you have sewn. She showed me. She showed me her equipment. I was like, oh, so you do sew.
And I also told them I was storing in Mylar bags and did a video and sent it to him. It was like, yep, so this is what I'm putting in Mylar bags today, these 5-gallon buckets. He was thorough.
Yeah. I asked for everything. Every last thing. When she said she had a medical situation, I said, show me the paperwork. Because if you're looking for a pity party, I'm not the pity party person. We work hard here. So if that physical ailment is going to stop you from doing the work, I need to know that right now. I don't want to wait until later. She said, oh no, I already was planning on moving off grid and da-da-da-da. I said, oh, okay. Okay. I asked her shoe size. I asked her, I spoke to her mother. That was great though.
Mother said you're no joke.
What other things did I ask you?
That's what didn't you ask?
I know, really, what didn't he ask?
Does she wear a weave?
I asked her, does she wear a weave? Has she ever worn a weave? Because if she has, that's something I want to be concerned about, because I may have to pray and rebuke certain things because she covered her head with another woman's hair. I said the sexually active, the STDs, what kind of solar panels she has. If she says she has solar panels, I want to know what kind they are. Send me a picture of them. I want everything confirmed.
What does she do daily in her daily life?
Oh, yes.
How active she is?
Yep. I asked her, I said, what do you do daily? And she told me what she was doing. So then what I would do throughout the day, and you drove for Instacart.
I did Instacart and garden.
She did Instacart and gardening. So what I would do, I would randomly throughout the day, hey, what are you doing? I'm working. Answer your phone, I'm calling right now. I'm doing a video chat right now. Why? Because I ain't trying to have one of those people where they say they're working and they don't answer your call because they're at the club.
Yeah, this is very true because he told me about somebody before that he I believe you were with or something like that. That he called her and she's covering up like this, like, and taking her head wrap off to cover up.
A so-called Israelite.
Mm-hmm.
She said that she was out
Pool.
playing. Yeah,
You were telling me.
She's playing pool, and I said, "Oh, okay." And I called her randomly. Now, again, she got Israel in her name. Daughter of Yah. I called her, and she answered the phone and was putting her head covering that she had taken off. She had wrapped it around her chest because her titties were hanging out. And I said, we were video chatting. I said, "Take that head covering off your chest right now." And she said, "Why?" I said, "Well, why do you have it on your... Why are you... I see a bunch of dudes in the background. I can hear them talking, and your head covering is not on your head. It's around your waist. Take it off." She took that head, unwrapped herself, titties hanging all out. That was the last time I talked to her. That was the last time I talked to that woman. So to make sure of that, with Sister Lydia, I just called her. "Hey, what are you doing?" "I'm driving down the freeway right now." "I'm calling. Show me the freeway you're driving." She showed me the freeway she was driving. And in all actuality, all she's doing is, I'm doing what the Bible says. I am proving and I am testing her to make sure that she keeps her word even in the smallest things. Oh, yeah, Yehudim. He's always in the chats.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he's saying wicked to the fact that she had her titties hanging out in front of the man. So she thought she was going to fake it till she make it. Nah, brother Chris, Aaron was not having it. And I've had that happen a lot, where people want to fake it till they make it in the family. Women want to fake it until they make it, and then when they're caught and exposed, they want to expose your stuff. They want to, well, he does this in his household. You damn right I do it. Ain't ashamed of it either. I'll do a video on it.
And with him saying that, I spoke to Sister Zion a little bit after that, because I was like, she was like, "Well, there's a few things that you say that you do, but you haven't really shown." And I was like, "Oh, really? Like, I just thought that, if you're a person who does, like, for instance, canning, or you're storing in things in Mylars or whatever, that this is just something natural." And she was actually the one who let me know, like, yeah, my master has dealt with stuff. I was like, who fakes that? Because if you get into someone's house, they're gonna know that you can't can. Like, if they're like, "Hey, I need you to can these like 6 gallons of peas, or we'll just say carrots or whatever it is," they're gonna know that you can't can. When it's like, okay, great, she can, she can dry stuff, she can do whatever, they're gonna know there's a problem. But she was like, yeah, you'd be surprised how many women will play that game and say, yeah, I can do this, I can do that, and can't do it at all. They say it so that they can get into the household, and hopefully once they get into the household, that commitment is made, you're not going to put them away, because now they're going to show you all the other things, like shaking and dropping it like it's hot. They're going to show you all those other things so that now you won't put them out. So I get it. I was like, oh shoot. So you're willing to lie about that just to get into the door?
Right.
Oh yes, they're willing to lie, get into the door. If you're gonna sign, a covenant, sign it, and then like, oh, okay. Well, you see, what had happened was, I don't really know how to can. I don't really know how to make no bread. I can't even cook. And you're like, wait, what? So what were all these pictures you were showing me? Well, see, what had happened was, I went to Google, got some stock photos, and I sent them to you. And it's, but initially my brains weren't like that. I was just like, wait, you would lie about canning? That's like, people call me granny for that, like, or grandma for that. Why would you lie over something stupid like that? But in my ignorance, I really didn't think people would do something that dumb. But women play the game.
We actually had a tough thing at one point, me and Sister Lydia. because she bought me something when she wasn't even in my house. Apparently something had been going on in the background between her and the sisters, and she bought me, I get a box in the mail and I open it up and she bought me a PS4. And I'm looking at it, and immediately I called her and said, you can't buy your way into my house, right? That's not going to work. You're not going to buy me stuff and get into my house because you bought me something. And she's not a rich woman.
Nope,
she is not a rich woman. But she bought me that thing. And I was like, you're not going to get in my house by buying me stuff. And she said, what did you say? Go ahead and say it.
I was like, I'm not trying to buy my way into your house. I'm just thankful that you're even willing to speak with me, knowing when I put out my health, knowing that you would still consider me, knowing that you would take time away from your household, what you're doing on a homestead, to give me time, some of your time. Even if it wasn't a lot, I was thankful for it. And I talked to the sisters and I was just like, well, I would really like to send him something. Sister Zion was like, well, there's hot tamales. He really likes those. There's this, and she's like, there's not too much else that he really needs or wants. There is one thing, and they both, Sister Zion, Sister Ribka, were reluctant to even tell me. And I was explaining, listen, I'm not trying to, and before he even said something to me, I had said something to the sisters. I'm like, I don't want it to come across like I'm buying my way there. I just want to do something to say thank you. And so Diane reluctantly was like, it was in the background, like, to Sister Ribka. And I'm like, what is it? Tell me! Like, tell me, please. And she's like, well, the only thing that I can think of that he really, really, really wants is a PS4. But he has said he won't take money away from the household to get it. And as he said, I'm not a rich person. I'm like, okay, I got to make it. Like, I told myself, it is life or death. I got to make it to Tabernacles. Plain and simple, that's it. When she told me that, I'm like, you know what? This is what I can do to say thank you. Thank you for his time. Just thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak to the sisters. Even if he said, guess what? You're not going to fit my household. I still want to say thank you. Because some people, maybe like, especially being 5'10", some guys like, and that has happened, where a guy told me, you too tall for me. And I was like, what? 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 I do not want a woman who is taller than me. And then came back some months later. It was like, hey, can I talk? I was like, excuse me, you told me I was too tall. And he was like, I said something like, yes, sir, you did. So even if he said no, I still wanted to say thank you, because they say time is money. He gave time. He didn't have to. I just want to say thank you.
And it was powerful. I let her know for the next couple of weeks, this don't mean that we cool like that. And she was like, I'm not trying to buy. And then she started saying, was that the wrong thing to do?
Yeah, like I was scared. I was like, oh shoot, maybe that was too much, maybe. And I kept trying to tell him, I'm just saying thank you for the time that you have already given me. That's it. I'm just saying thank you. So even if you say no, it's okay. I'm not gonna be like, hey homie, wait a second. I need that back. So that cost me this, and this. No.
Read Sister Sky's comment. Did you tell her about that?
She said
Sister Sky, I gotta make it to Tabernacles. It's life or death.
She made that comment while she was talking.
Yeah, I made that
Oh,
She just
yeah.
repeated
okay,
it.
okay. Yeah, she had an appointment that she needed to take care of, due to her the health issue that she has. And she was like, listen, ain't nothing gonna stop me from getting the Tabernacles. She told me it was a life and death situation. And I was like, what, your condition? She goes, no, me going to Tabernacles.
Like,
I was like, oh my gosh. And she made the Tabernacles. And it's rare that somebody keeps their word to the way that she does. it's rare. It's rare that people keep their vows. It's rare that people say what they are. I just saw Sister Elaine's comment. It's rare for these things to be the case. That's a rare thing. What I would say is, in this westernized society, we are told that it's the man's job to always, give to the woman. Valentine's Day, who buys the gift? The man does. Anniversaries, the guy goes and buys the gifts. It's always about the guy buying. I would say this, and then I'm out of here. If you're a sister and you are bringing something to a man, whether it be your canning supplies or skills or whatever it is, you have to make sure you invest into those things. Make sure you are going to further. I saw so many sisters said you have to make sure you're furthering his home, and it's not a man's job. And we'll talk about this tomorrow more. But it's not a man's job to sacrifice his life to take you. That would be in every other aspect of the world a bad investment. If his taking you into his house is just a humongous sacrifice. He could be losing this, he could be losing finances, he could be losing his safety, he could be losing his mind just to have you in his household. So consider that if you are a single woman, what are you going to bring to him that's going to help him further his vision? Because like Zion said, I was on this vision well before Rivka, well before Sister Lydia. I was on this vision. So I didn't need them to fulfill my vision. But I am extremely thankful to the Most High Yah that they all are here. Because they all, when they're not driving me crazy.
I'm still a work in progress.
When they're not driving me crazy. When I don't have to go for long walks around the rock by my damn self. They are awesome. And sisters, let me tell you this also, and I really am out of here. You have to understand, you're not perfect.
Right.
So you're going to upset your husband. How do you approach him once you do? What kind of humility do you have once you do that thing? These are all the things that you have to consider in regards to being a wife. Now, I want you to answer Sister Jasmine, and then I'm out of here. Okay. Bless y'all.
Sister Jasmine Golston. Sister Lydia, what advice would you give a young woman considering polygyny? And maybe what's your testimony to accepting the polygyny lifestyle? Well, first and foremost, it's not all about you. You're not walking into a polygynous situation and you're going to be the only one married. They don't go together. So it's not all about you. And as for the children, like if there's children involved, well, these children that are involved, I look at the children just as they're mine. They are mine as well. But really they're masters. But but I think you understand what I'm saying. And I am blessed. Not just that. And I'm learning this as I'm telling you that asking them questions. It is very important to ask them questions. How to further learn your master, his household, the program that he is running. Yourself, like I said, I would go back to, it's not about me. Yes, I'm going to be covered, or you're going to be covered. It's great, but having those helping hands. Like, all right, I know I'm going into this for me is Yah's will. This where I am right now. So if you're looking at a home man and you're talking and with him and he has more than one, two, be willing to accept it. He like, this is where Yah wants me to be. You may not fully understand why necessarily. Initially, I mean, I haven't been here long and that was one of my big things. I don't understand. I don't understand. And I'm also learning sometimes it's not meant for us to understand, or the answer will come in time. Be willing to learn. Don't worry that there's a next sister here, there's a next sister here. There, who knows? There could be 100 of them. Don't worry about all that. Don't worry about that. You're there because Yah put you there. And accept that and be happy with it. Understand you may not understand everything, but be okay with that too. The answers will come. Know that you are not going to be alone, and put it in your mind like, hey, I'm not going to be alone. I'm not going to have like all this weight on my shoulders. I'm going to have a sister here. I'm going to have a sister there. And really it should end up becoming, this is my true friend. She's my true friend. She's my true friend. And I don't have to worry about all these other cuckoo broads that I might have been friends with out there. Don't worry about that. If he wants to, that is him.
You feel comfortable?
That's fine. He's able to.
She said yes, Master.
About him not even going into and this being this week.
You said that'll be another
That's something
separate live stream.
Right. So we about to be.
So that for myself, I'm sorry, Sister
Small
Jasmine.
Small interruption here.
Yes, just a small.
Just a small interruption. Just listening to try to figure out where we're going with that.
Is this something for me to say?
I mean,
Oh, okay. Well, I'll say it. So, anyways, okay.
I'll say it.
Okay, our master has something to say.
This live
So
stream
this
going
is
to 10 o'clock.
this is part of
I'm done.
this
I'm
is
done.
part of my testimony. I will say right now, and I'm gonna say this before he says what he's going to say. I am learning to do what I need to do, regardless of what is going on or what is not going on.
Woo!
That's how it should be.
So that's something to keep in mind. So if you have an upset day, because initially it was taking me like a day to get out or a couple days. Whatever is going on with you, even if you're having a hard moment, because I am really hard on myself, I'm learning, doesn't matter. Get over it. You keep moving as you are supposed to, because then you are taking away from your husband, your master, when you are not. And his vision cannot fully go on with you and your emotions of whatever it may be. Okay, I'm done.
Speaking of emotions, and you know, because I hear a lot of, it's funny because I listen to a lot of people talk about polygyny, men, women. I hear a lot of women say, it's just about the sex. He just wants all this sex. And also because I've learned some things, even in my failures in going through what I went through before in the past situation.
No, he didn't.
What?
Oh man,
Brother
I didn't mean to
Andre.
do that. Why he do that?
Brother Andre.
Brother.
Really?
We love our brother.
It's okay. I ain't mad at you.
Okay, anyway.
Right.
Bless you, my beloved brother.
You know he can do that.
I'm just saying, I'm gonna say, how long have you been here, Lydia?
Now, about 2, let's see. Oh, 2 months and a half.
Okay, so she has been here a total of 2.5 months, and I know some of y'all probably won't be able to fathom this, but in all this time, in the continual testing to see what is inside of her, I still have not gone into Sister Lydia. I still haven't done that. So that's let that be for all you. It's just about sex for him. Nah, it ain't. It ain't. And I have seen a woman literally show some of the because there's some things that I think a lot of women have to understand. Men are not willing to sacrifice their house for vagina. Therefore, I am very apprehensive at the idea of a woman who's going to run into a man's house, get knocked up, and then run away because she was able to play the game real good. And I don't care how much patience you have. That stuff happens in marriages where people have been married for 15 years. 15 years where people will be in those marriages and then the woman just ups and leaves and destroys his vision. Well, I wanted to make sure that she wasn't a vision destroyer. And instead, what I have seen is a woman with the utmost integrity. And no, it has nothing to do with her health issues. I have seen a woman with the utmost integrity, the utmost fight, the utmost drive. Her happiness, her wanting to be my possession and make me happy has nothing to do, until she does it, had nothing to do with, well, I'm coming in here to get sex. I just want to have sex. Sex. That's not what it was. She kept her vows despite that she hasn't done that. So let that be a testimony. Let that be a testimony of one that shows her that I'm not getting you just for sex. I want you because I love you. And I'm not saying that every man has to do it the way I did it. No, I'm not saying that. But I wanted her to know that my love for you is not contingent on let me keep this G, on no sex and breasts and gluteus maximus, medius, and minimus. It's not about that. I wanted her to know I want you. Nor did I want her to ever feel that she's relegated to some piece of meat. That I want you because I want you. And especially when women may have gone through life and experienced those sort of things where they felt like they were just there for sex. Now she understands my want for her is because I want her. And at the same time, I got to see that she's not just here for sex. So let that be a testimony to also her integrity, her want, her drive to fully be covered, not just to acquire a penis. But her drive is to live holy 2.5 months. 2.5 months. I want that to just resonate. Now I'm officially out.
And I'll say this too, because I know shortly we're going to bring it to a close, and I wanted to get this because there are a lot of young sisters out here, or sisters who's never been married, and if you are single and now you want to be married, we have many videos, or the live streams and videos about, this topic of learning biblical marriage in this form, that's also known as polygyny, and like preparing yourself. And because a lot of people just didn't know, this is not something that we've been taught. Well, you who are not married do have the opportunity now to hear things like this and to totally change the way you look at things and start being able to prepare. So you too can go into a man's house and be a benefit, help further his vision, and prepare, and can be covered also by a righteous man. But I did want to say this. There were newer sisters. And sometimes I hear a lot of women, or recently they've asked the question about wanting to get married, but they still have the Christian idea of, well, if they think they're not ready for marriage in the sense of like, oh, well, I ain't got all this, or my mind ain't together like that. If a man in Israel, or an Israelite holy man approaches you, the Bible still tells us sisters, us daughters of Zion, to get covered, or daughters of Sarah. However, you want to be covered. Being covered is a very important thing, because the man is who is to lead you. And when you are on your own, Yah gave the men the charge of nourishing you. And sometimes people confuse because you hear information like this, meaning like, well, I ain't good enough. I ain't got enough of this. I ain't got enough of that. So then they try to run their way away from marriage as if they're going to get all this thing be put in them by themselves. You're not going to do it by yourself. There was a charge given to a man. There was charge given to older mothers and sisters who need to help put those sort of things inside of you. You didn't learn. You're not going to learn that because you're by yourself doing anything, really. There's only so much you can cover by yourself. There, you may be able to get physical possessions by yourself, but you to being mature, to learn how to deal with, and while you are by yourself, yes, work on your emotions, your health, and all those sort of things. But honestly, you don't gain all this biblical knowledge and character and all these different things because you just by yourself. So you want to have a balance. Sometimes you have on one end sisters who are like, don't want to work on anything and just run into the man who's a total mess and like, take me. Then on the other end, you have sisters who want to get themselves together, which is good, but then they think that means I got all the time in the world, and I got to get to this perfected stage before I get there. No, you don't. You don't have all that time in the world, and time is actually getting cut shorter and shorter. Look at the days that we're in. So if a man is seeking and desiring to talk to you, don't be afraid to be like, y'all could be giving me this opportunity. It ain't about when I think the time is, because ain't no man is going to accept that. Not a man of Yah. He's not going to be like, oh, woman, you going to come back around when you feel like you want to come around. If a man of Yah is approaching you, yes, you may want to really consider, because just because he's approaching you, yes. Just because he's approaching you doesn't mean he may even be taking to you in his house that day. He may be approaching you and say, let's talk. Let's get to know, let's see, there may be a testing stage. Like my master spoke with Sister Lydia well before she got here. There was conversation, but the good thing is while that conversation was going on, she started learning of him. She was watching his videos. She was learning what his likes and dislikes were. And as they continued to communicate, she knew exactly what to start working on, because she knew she wanted to be covered by this man. She didn't know when, but she wanted to be covered. And by making herself available to him, and by seeking him out and making herself available, even though she wasn't coming that day, that week, or that month, those were the times that she had to prepare herself mentally, emotionally, physically. She was able to start working on things. She learned that my master was already saying about a woman dealt with her weight. Guess what she started doing before she got here? She already started dropping pounds. She admitted, I'm a little bit more overweight. I need to get in that. She started dropping pounds. But she didn't tell him, oh, wait, I got to drop my weight before I talk to you.
Right.
I got to finish letting this go before I talk to you. No. She realized that was the opportunity y'all was providing. And she's like, no. I need to keep talking to you. But in the midst of that, because if the man wants to talk to you, how do you not know y'all sent that?
Right.
And sometimes we get this idea like we are more controlled than what we are, because that's what Christianity feeds us. That's what how this society just leads us to think that we got all the time in the world, that we could tell a man of y'all like, no thank you. No thank you, brother. But then if you don't get covered, then what? Then you be crying to y'all like, I ain't got no husband. Yeah, because you denying the man that y'all was sending to you.
Right.
So don't get it confused. And I think sometimes women may do that really because they just don't know any better. And I'm just trying to let you know now, before you make an error, if a man of y'all is approaching you, it's probably not a good idea to be like, nope. Because what's the worst can happen? You talk to this man, you check out the situation, the man is making the decision, y'all get to talk and you get to figure that out. You ain't laying with him. Men of y'all are respectable. They're not gonna lay with you until that time of marriage was to happen anyways. But if you don't want to close the door to an opportunity, because you may close the door and that may be the last door you close, and you end up not covered. And definitely don't get the idea that, oh, well, I'll just be single and serve y'all. Where do you see that in the book?
Right. The other thing is ladies, with what she is saying, I would further say this. We had did a video, might have been a video, might have been a live stream, but you have to go back. But it's recent, it's pretty recent, of understanding. Look at what is going on out there. Our master has talked about it. The ark doors are closing.
Right.
Yes.
And so you being like, well, I could just wait a little bit. Do you want to be out there in that chaos? Now, I'm not saying that should be the only reason why you look for a covering. No. But don't use yourself up. All the stuff that you have, the talent, goods, whatever it is, don't use it all up and then in desperation be like, oh my gosh, things are falling apart. They're seriously falling apart. I need to find me a man. I need to find me a man. I need to find me a covering. Well, you're kind of late. You're kind of late.
Yes. And then to that, when you have issues, men of y'all know if you already ain't a woman straight out your father's house, a virgin, pure,
Yes.
clean, that's been taught from, because we've come across virgins who are not of the way and have been a total mess as well. So I'm talking about if you ain't a virgin out of your father's house, who have some home training like in biblical, life in general, the man kind of knows when he's seeking you out. He knows there's going to be things that you have to work on.
Yeah.
With all that I was actually part of Straight Up the World. Me and my master married, so he knew I was a mess. But like even with Lydia, with what she learned, with my sister, what she learned, they knew that we were still going to have issues. Sister Lydia's still working on things, correct?
Right. I'm
So,
thrift store.
Still.
Thrift store good.
Well, we always thrift store good, but we hoping
But-
to be better. You know what I mean? We're not
You-
trying to say thrift store good.
Listen, you still gonna be I'm a thrift store pair
Yeah,
of
but
sneakers.
and the thing is,
he
the
has a
master
purpose
lifts you
for
up.
it.
Right? He'll bring you up from there. But
Mhm.
truth been told,
He's
If-
giving you a new purpose.
yeah, new
Exactly.
purpose. He gonna repurpose you.
Refurbish.
Okay, but seriously, you don't just have this time that you want to play around with a
You
man's
don't.
life and vision. If he's seeking you out, he already knew. He already knew that there may be things that you have to work on.
Or no.
Let him determine
What and worth it.
when, how long you have. Let him determine. Let that man of Yah who's seeking you and approaching you, let him determine if you need more time to work on what you got to work on. And let him be the decider of whether he wants to take you on despite what you have going on. In spite of that, you know what I mean? Because if he think you are good enough to invest in, even if you're not there yet, if he's willing to wait it out, and if he's willing to say, I think this woman is gonna get better, and I'm still gonna invest in her because I'm looking at future. I'm not saying that she got it together all right now, but I know she's going to get it together because I can see something in her, and I can still use her, and I'm going to nourish her while she's here and help bring her up. And I see that I believe that this investment will still be good for my home. If he can determine that, then let him determine that. Don't cut yourself off. And then you're going to be mad at the end of the day and say, "Y'all, why didn't you help me?" He's like, "I did." But you too busy trying to make decisions for yourself. We don't know how to make those decisions, sisters, like that. Like, not really. If we have no training in this way, we really don't know how to make those decisions. And usually we make disastrous decisions. And if some of you sisters already made that mistake because you were under Christian knowledge or Roman knowledge, try to fix the mistake if you can. That's what I would do. If I had a man of y'all, right? And he tried to talk to me, and I honestly did. Like, listen, I'm truly about serving y'all. I'm truly about being covered, helping a man in his vision. And I was just foolish and ignorant because I literally didn't know. Then I'm calling back, like, listen, forgive me. I repent because I honestly didn't know. I just needed some knowledge. Forgive me. Hey, can we talk? I would really like to be covered. I need some understanding, because that man will give you understanding. When Sister Lydia was not married to our master, he was teaching her the biblical knowledge while they were still just talking. She was watching on the page.
I asked him to be a spiritual covering for me. In the midst of us speaking and things like that. So this way I could still get information, get better understanding, because let me tell you something, understanding I had was crapshoot.
And Sister Ribka had the same thing. When Sister Ribka, she made an error, thinking, whatever, thinking, maybe she had to come on her own time or whatever like that. And in order for her to get covered, she had to come back to our master and humble herself. And humble herself to them and say, "Hey, I made a mistake. Hold on. Please." Can we restart this? Ribka probably can speak more on that better. It's her story, but I'm just giving you an example that if you do make that error out of ignorance, maybe Yah still has mercy for you, and you don't have to be like, "Dang, it's too late. I could have just missed a great opportunity." Maybe, but maybe not. But it takes you to do something, and it takes you to humble yourself. And that's something that we are not taught. We just think, well, maybe somebody's supposed to chase me down. No, you better get the chasing. If you know it's good for you, you better get the chasing. Because a righteous man, when he covers you, he is making a commitment, a lifelong commitment to be that for you, to cover you, to invest in you, to raise you up. But, he's taking on you.
Yes.
And that is he's putting a lot out there to do that for you. So you do the work.
Mm-hmm.
You do the work. If you messed up, you fix it. And ask Yah to be merciful to you and see what happens. And for you other sisters, just know that, you want to balance. You don't want to come with a bunch of drama and mess and stuff like that and just say, take me. But you also don't want to get yourself so far away or try to be so over spiritual that you're denying people left and right as if you got all day.
Right.
And
So just
you're going to be right at some point in time.
Yeah, you're
That's
not.
your decision.
Our master said, as if you're going to be right at some point in time, sorry. as if it is your decision.
Right.
And I'll say that the first time my master approached me and told me of his interest, I did deny him or tell him that I was not ready. But in that huge mistake, in that years worth of time before I came to my senses and went back to my master and said, told him that he is my husband. I know that Yah sent him to be my husband. In that years worth of time, I end up acquiring more baggage and bringing more on myself than what I needed to bring, and it ended up hurting me even more in that, because I'm thinking that I know better for myself instead of looking at how y'all was working and actually sending me my husband, in which I was praying for. So just be careful. Like, y'all was merciful to me, but that may not always happen for every woman. So you don't want to miss out on and be one of those 5 foolish virgins and miss out on the bridegroom coming.
Yes.
Bridegroom come, he come.
Yes. And and y'all look at the intent of everyone's heart. And so if your heart is right, there you may be able to fix it. And my master will always tell us this, and he keeps us sober when we get off track, because we do, sisters. We keep, I'll just make that clear again. We are not perfect. So my master was serious. Sometimes we drive crazy. It don't be intentional. We be sad. We be over here upset, like, dang, we done messed them up because we got some stuff going on that we need to fix. But,
and to be honest, we're never going to be perfect.
Yeah, but we're not going to be perfect like that.
Unless you came from your father's house, you're never going to be, quote unquote, ready for marriage.
Right.
Our master.
You're going to have to unpack so much baggage out of you already. Why would you wait longer so he has to unpack more?
Right.
Yes,
As our master was saying, unless you came from your father's house, you're actually not going to be ready the way you need to. So why wait longer talking about I'm trying to get ready, and really you most of the time accumulate more baggage, and then you bring the man more baggage, because instead of him being able to help you, if he see any benefit in you, he can help you, guide you, and you could tackle that. Then now you're gonna have more stuff, and they're gonna say, okay, take all this on top of this additional baggage, because I thought I could handle this thing by myself. Sometimes we got so much baggage and so much mess that we got going on that you ain't gonna conquer that, because a lot of times you don't even have the knowledge to conquer that. And you know how you know? Because you ain't conquered it already. And you wouldn't have had that much baggage to begin with. So the fact that you were out there by yourself, that's how you got that. You can't use the same mindset you had that gave you the baggage to get yourself out of all that. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have something different operating and going that's going to help you see clearly how to attack that sort of thing. And that's what a man of Yah can offer you. Even if he's just talking to you and let's say he's interest. Sometimes they'll invest a little time just off of the interest alone, and in that time they can help hear out what your problem is and guide you and say, this is what you need to do. This is how you handle it. This is this and this. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. That helps so much, because if you want to join his house, that's great. Keep telling me what you like and don't like, because I can start dropping those things left and right. Bam, bam, bam.
And that you want to be transparent also. If the man is...
Go ahead and say that out loud.
Oh, and in that, if a man of Yah is saying that he's interested or showing interest in you, you want to make sure that you are also being transparent in yourself and not trying to, make it seem like you don't have any baggage or you don't have wrong thinking or this type of mindset, or you have this. Just be transparent, because Yah's going to bring it out anyway. So you want to get that out in the beginning so that it'll be done the right way, and you'll actually give the man that respect and honor, and and do it in righteousness, so he can make an adequate and honest decision on whether he wants to take you on or not.
Right.
You can't say whether or not a man wants to take on certain things that you're dealing with. You need to give him that decision. Let that be his decision, not yours.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you're transparent in a man if he is giving you interest.
You'll be go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because I saw a sister asking, how do you know the difference between a righteous man and a not so righteous man? One, you need to be asking questions. And so if you're being transparent about things and what have you, and you're talking to him and like, hey, and he's telling you some stuff that's like, it's a little bit questionable, also look at his life. If he's saying, hey, I got a garden, I feed myself. Well, okay, wow, you have a garden, you have food storage, you have this. Well, yeah, and you live, I don't know, not too far, or he can do a video with you. Ask to see that, because if he says he's got a garden and the garden is 3 foot by 3 foot, you ain't about to eat. And, if he says he has food storage, and that means he has, 20 cans of pork and beans, you definitely ain't about to eat. And you're like, wait, pork and beans? Well, you don't eat pork.
That's why you ain't about to eat.
So, these are the things. His fruit. Look at his fruit. So that's just those questions. It's very important to ask those questions and really see if he's willing to back it up. If he's like, well, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Red light, stop. Don't worry about it.
And another thing too, if you have okay, so there are men, some of you all who have been on this channel long enough know, but if anyone else know, if you do have a trusted person in the faith, a male who can vouch for you, who can check out a situation, who could tell you what to at least look for. I mean, sometimes if you watch even our master's live streams and videos and stuff, he touches on them sort of things of what kind of questions to ask and stuff to find out if this man is truly serving Yah, so you don't put yourself in a bad situation. So yes, there is the side of making sure you are talking to a man of Yah, and you may need a little assistance, and sometimes you can just ask a man that maybe you trust, that you can see, and say, hey, what do I look for so I can make sure I don't make an error or things like that. But on the other side, and if you go back to even his live streams and videos, I mean, honestly, if you watch those, you will find a whole lot of stuff. It may take you a while to watch them all, but you may be able to get to some of those. I mean, so those things are there also. But I know the brothers that my master roll with, and if he knows you, and he knows personally, are the ones he talk about, we know that they are men of Yah, and that's for sure.
They can help you.
Because we've seen their life, their walk. We are in regular fellowship. Brother HOQ and Brother David and our masters, and they also can help vouch for other brethren, or they know what to look for because they serve Yah themselves. They know what it looks like and those sort of things. So if you are, let's say, you feel comfortable enough and you trust that they will help lead and guide in that way, then you can ask for that kind of help. But the whole point of this really is don't try to eliminate yourself. Don't try to make this decision and eliminate yourself because you don't feel like you're worthy enough. And then don't also have the audacity to come in unworthy with all this crap and say, here, take it and take me because you should either.
Because I'm worth everything.
Because you're worth something that you're not. Have the more humble attitude and recognize what your issues or problems are, that you have them, that you need to work on them, and start working on those, and start asking Yah to send you or show you where this man is who is supposed to cover you. And if he sends somebody, don't be so quick to dismiss. Just don't be so quick to dismiss a man of Yah. What's wrong with talking? What's wrong with literally talking in a respectful manner, not with your butt out and stuff like that? And the difference, Mother Bina was saying, could her comment be read? And she's correct, because a lot of us who married to men of Yah, we didn't have to come with our breasts out, our butt out, thongs on, showing them
Automatic disqualification.
makeup. My master says automatic disqualification, right? We didn't have on pounds of makeup to feel like we were beautiful enough or any of that. In fact, I wasn't a makeup wearer anyways. My master was like, "Woo, praise y'all." But when I had a weave on, I agree with Mother Bina, because I did wear a weave at one point in time. And my master was like, "Girl, you ain't white, and you ain't all this sort of stuff. Your hair don't grow out your head like that." He said, "I like women who hair grow out their hair the way that y'all made them. If he white, I like the woman to have white stringy hair, because that's what y'all gave her. If she black and she has kinky hair, then I want to see the kinks. And if she is whatever she is, however it comes out your head is what you should be wearing." And and he taught me a lot about myself in there. Like, what is up with all this self-hate where you think you got to wear something in a way that y'all didn't even give it to grow out your head, and you try to change yourself in that way. But that's how society is, right? You got to wear a weave to fit in and all that good stuff. And, he showed me how to care for myself. Like, love your hair, because that's what the hair he gave you. And my master's like, and if I had a wife that was white, I love her long stringy hair, because that's what y'all gave her. And if she black, I want her kinky hair, her nice kinky curly hair, the way he gave it to her. So you don't have to feel ashamed of that with a man of Yah. He wants you. He recognized that you have certain type of hair types. So some people get subconscious about that. They start trying to wear all this fake braids and all that stuff. And many of y'all like, nah, we ain't asking for all that. You ain't got to put on pounds and pounds of makeup. No one's asking for that. He's not asking you to be a Jezebel. He's asking you to come real. What you got, who you are, and let him decide. So, yes, Mrs. J. Carr, a tree is known by its fruit.
Rita, Adelia, diabetes.
Yes,
The
Master.
respect one or
Big.
that first
Yeah,
one?
this one right here. We probably
No,
go up
this
to-
one.
Oh,
Respect for a man will
Okay.
elevate you.
okay. Go ahead.
Idalia, respect for a man will elevate you even higher, and relationship will be blessed. I don't practice polygyny, but my husband is a Muslim, not same faith, but same principles. Apply with man and wife.
Wow.
But
Wow.
the same principles apply with man and wife.
And then she also says, being a woman is beauty in itself, no need for additives.
Oh, man.
Yes.
And that is being a woman. You notice she said being a woman. So not a woman that wears what pertains to a man, manly characteristics, attitude, behavior, but really a woman, a biblical woman is beautiful by itself. So hair weaves, makeup is additives. All that sort of stuff is additives. And you don't need that to be a holy, set-apart woman. Masculine, yes, man.
A woman
That was good.
is supposed to be 100% non-GMO.
Right.
Mhm.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He said at the same time, yes. Okay, so that's what I wanted to add in our closing. Is there any questions anyone have? There is so many comments, y'all. I'm gonna ask y'all to forgive me. I was saying I wanted to read comments. I didn't realize we were gonna have that many comments.
Yeah.
This thing really went up there, so I'll try to get some. But while we're looking to see if anybody have any questions, if you have any questions, please post it. And while that time is, I'll read some comments. I'm sure you wonderful sisters have been reading some of the comments that people have been posting, so I'm sure you got the information. What does Sister Angela say? We don't need additives. Yah is our preserver. Fire. That's good, Sister Angela. That is really good. Sister Elaine Brock says, if a woman needs all that stuff to find a husband, she lying to him. It's witchcraft. That's a fact, Sister
That's
Elaine.
real.
Yes, my master said that's real.
Have
Question.
Sister Lydia
Lydia,
answer.
Who helped
Case?
you to this state of
Yes,
mind
master.
prior to meeting your master? Well, Sister K asked the question, who helped me to this state of mind prior to meeting my master? Well, some of it was there. I learned over the years, not in Christianity, even though that's where I started. There was a breaking point And all I could say is it was nothing but having his hand already there. I just didn't know. Later, for instance, I was on Sunday worship, and I was like, I was that child that was like, something's wrong with this. Why does the Bible say this and we doing this? And I got those questions. Oh, Constantine. Till I checked it out myself, but that's besides the point. Then, and that was actually laid on my spirit when I was at work one night, and I decided to do an overnight. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but it was there, and I searched it out. I'm like, dang, I'm being lied to. What is this all about? I started looking, and had, even at a young age, looking at a wife is supposed to submit to her husband in everything. And that has stayed with me. I read that when I was like 10, 11 years old, and was like, that's what a woman is supposed to be when she gets married. She's supposed to be submissive. And I'm gonna tell you, it was a good thing, but at the same time, maybe not the greatest thing, because I went online to start looking at what submission was. We'll leave it at that. But later on, as I started realizing I'd been lied to in Christianity, I started looking and searching for truth. I was already in my 20s. I started covering my head more so. At one point in time, I did that through high school. It was just something that was comfortable to me. Then I stopped because it was like, well, you don't have to do all that. You don't have to do all that. So it was like, okay, well, all right, then I won't do it. But then when in my 20s, I went back to covering my head. That's not saying that you have to do that. I'm just going to put that out there, because that's not what the Bible says. Only in prayer and prophesying, right? That's what the Bible says. And fasting. But I started going, I was like, well, this just doesn't seem right. So initially, I will be very transparent. After my son passed, I was like, I got to do better than what I'm doing. Somebody's got to be living the word better, because I was in the Messianic faith prior to this. My son passed, and I just was like, this is not right. This is not where I'm supposed to really be. And then I went to YouTube, good old YouTube, and I actually found Straightway. I was there in the backgrounds, never personally fellowshiped with them, but I was there listening to some of the things that they were putting out. And even then I was like, gotta be something more. And I went a couple months not knowing what and how. I was covering myself, learning how to break soul ties. I learned that from Straightway. And like, okay, there's gotta be I'm missing more. And I then found my master's channel. Yes. So I can't really say that there was so much an individual person that helped, but
so basically y'all kind of ordered your steps little by little in different things, and you have to choose to receive it.
Yeah, you got to choose to either listen to it,
decision,
yep, or not, and be like, I don't really know if that's really right. But for me, when I read the word, now I didn't have the word all right, let me tell you, and I still don't in some areas. So I'm learning to let those things go. But as things had been presented, and they're like, oh, well, you need to do this. Open that book. Wait. Can somebody please explain to me why we're doing this and not what this book says? And people couldn't give me a true viable reason. So then, legit, the Ruach Yah led me to someplace else. I get a little bit of more information, and it was like, okay, well, now we've stopped. Somebody else has got to have more. And I have finally made it to where Yah wanted me to be. He was preparing me all along, and some of it, I really didn't even know that Yah had his hand on me. Because when you're still out in the world, in some manners, in some portions of your life, you're just like, okay, well, whatever. So I'm very thankful. I'm thankful to the Most High that man,
And
you
that's-
have spared me.
And I'm gonna read Ima Bima's comment. It's short and sweet. According to the scripture, like you said, you seek and you will find, and not just that. You know, Yah will lead you. He in the Bible it already talks about someone's gonna do the watering. I mean, someone's gonna plant the seed, someone do the watering, and Yah will give the increase. So I think really a lot of times that have to do with even our steps. If you're a woman and you're seeking Yah for a covering, who is gonna lead you and guide you, you may learn a little bit here and a little bit here. There may be a seed planted over here to start getting you ready and prepared. You may get some watering over here, and then he's gonna lead you right where you need to be and give the increase.
Yes.
And so she got that chance to learn a little bit here and there, and then she was led right to my master's channel, and y'all did the increasing.
He did.
He got her exactly moving along where she needed to get to. He took her on the path, and I can say the same thing happened even in our, like I said, my master and I married before the faith, and then we came into the faith together, so on and so forth. But same thing happened with the walk when he woke my master up first and brought it to me and our family, and we started moving on. We were in some places for a certain amount of time, and we learned stuff that, you know, seeds were planted. But then when he was like, okay, enough with that over here, you know, this is not where I intended you to stay, but I wanted the seed planted. This was the place I wanted you to get the seeds planted. And then he brought us over here, and he got us over here and start watering. And this is where he wanted us to get that water, or who he wanted to speak to us, or whatever we learned to get the water. And then he brought the increase and led my master this way on this vision, and had him to continue moving and seeking him himself and start leading and guiding and ordering his steps. And now our family is here.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all do it through whatever avenues you choose, but he leads you to exactly where he wants you to be, and he'll increase you there. So praise God. Thank you. Who is this?
Hello,
Halaya Family Homestead.
Hello.
Well, good for you.
Oh my
Thank you. We really appreciate that. Just want ladies to know you're doing a great job teaching women about humility. That is why I tuned into DOS. I didn't even know of that, but I am so appreciative. Thank you. We appreciate things like this so much. We are humbled by your giving, how you led us to. It is awesome. So thank you.
You want to, you can answer Carla's question briefly.
Okay.
Without, don't attack me.
Right. Yes.
Right.
I had just said that.
Sister Carla. So I wasn't so closely knit with Straightway. I was one of those people at a distance. I was always at a distance. There was no one really in my area. So I watch videos and you know, and their live streams. Sometimes I listen to the sister to sister, things like that. But it was, I had gotten all that I had needed. And as she was saying, and as I can say, you know, it was steps. And I went and took those steps. So once it got to the point, I wasn't there long, and sometimes Yah doesn't have us in the place long. It was time to move on. So that was really the only reason. Like I said, I didn't know anyone personally there or anything like that. I could say I followed Straightway, but that was it.
I'm gonna read Idalia Diabetes. I hope I'm saying your name right. Another comment she made, because you know this is something that really bless you. I think this is something we could easily miss, because with relationships, particularly marriage and stuff like that, like once that backwards thinking is put in, it's not really easily removed. And this is what we don't do to help ourselves. And I appreciate this comment.
Hold on 1 second.
Sister K?
Lydia, can you answer or just let Sister Lisa McKinney know, because she went through the same thing Olivia was saying?
Oh,
yeah, I was just about to text her.
I saw that one. Okay,
but
go ahead.
Sister Lisa,
McKinney.
Is
that the right one?
Yeah,
Lisa. Okay.
Lisa McKinney.
Yes, ma'am.
You are welcome. And I hope my son, when I lost my son, it was actually last August, and he had turned 5. So it was a couple months after that, and I won't lie, it was hard. And I was like, what in the world? I felt like I had nothing left. I truly did. And it was a struggle, but then I was like, yeah, you know what? I can't stay in this place. And I will not lie, I'll be very honest with you. There are still some days that something will happen and the thought of him will cross my mind. And I will struggle. And then I have to pick myself back up, because I know Yah does not want me to stay down, because he has blessed me with 7 children. So I hope that you are strong, that you are still willing to hold on to life and still move forward. I do apologize for you losing your son. I hope you were well. I hope you are doing well. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Like I said, we're gonna be here to 10. I was like, actually, before I read that last one, maybe I'll read it in closing. Do you want to read answer Sister K's? Because
Sister K's.
that's still on topic.
Okay. Question, Sister K. What would you say was your biggest struggle hurdle as a single woman wanting to be covered, if any? I heard you mention weight loss. Was looks even a concern? Okay, so the struggle, starting to better understand and learn that Yah has a position for women. It is to be covered. It is to be a mother. And yes, I was a mother in a sense, but I was a single mother. And initially, even though I was raising my son, I will say Messianic, he, having him learn the Torah and the Yah's feast days, but it's like it still wasn't enough. It was like, man, what do I do? My son, and no lie, I'm like, I want a covering, a husband who's going to be able to accept my son. And I think even in talking, I was willing to talk to folks that were not in really any kind of faith. And that was bothersome to me. Really bothersome to me. And so it was like, dang it. At one point in time, I got to the point, it was like, you know what? Forget this. I will stay single. I will just stay single. Honestly and true, I will stay single. Because it was like, even going to service was a problem. Like, well, why you gotta go there? Well, you care nothing about the word. So it was problematic until I got to the point where, you know what? I'm just gonna stay single. At least I thought I wanted to really stay single, but that was, I was lying to myself. Plain and simple, I was lying. So that back and forth kind of thought, like, yeah, maybe it's just best I stay single because people are not serious about the word. They don't care nothing about it. They want to just be out there. The other thing was, where in the world do I meet somebody? I don't go to the club. I don't hang out. I am in the house by, before the sun sets, sometimes, or just as sun is setting, and I don't leave the house. So where am I going to meet a man? Where am I going to find him? I really didn't know, to be honest. And that, I think, was one of the hardest things for me, because I'm like, some folks, nah, I'm good. It's kind of the attitude I had sometimes. So that was a big struggle for me. That I was like, I really just didn't know where am I going to look for somebody. The synagogue I went to, like, everybody's married already. I don't even think they believed in polygyny, to be honest with you. So that wasn't going to work out either.
So your biggest struggles looking for
Where I was really going to find a man who was serious about the word. Because if you're not going to, to go hang out all the time, you're not about to find. And even if you do, what are you going to find there? Yeah. So that was probably my biggest thing.
Would you say you had fear already? Do you think maybe sometimes you were willing to say you will be alone because you kind of already had fear that you weren't going to find anyone anyway who would take you on, and it was just easier sometimes to just like, fine, I'll be myself.
Right. Yeah.
Sit there and admit that there was the fear of like, am I even going to find a man of Yah anyway? And if where would he be, and would he take me, and all that sort of mindset?
Yes.
I've heard that before too. Some women do have those fears. Sometimes, ladies, our rejection kicks in, our fears and the rejections will kick in, and sometimes we will deny ourselves the ability to be covered because of the fears we already have. Maybe something about yourself, something that you're insecure about, or some struggles or whatever you have, and you just will write yourself off. You'll just be like, I'm gonna serve y'all all by myself. I'll be alone. And you're lying. And you're lying.
I was lying.
You're lying. You're lying. You're like, you really don't want to be alone. But sometimes it's just easier to say, I'll be alone and serve Yah, than to have to feel that continual rejection of having to hear you ain't good enough. Because sometimes that is our biggest fear, to hear you ain't good enough, or you have too much baggage, or you won't be able to do that. You don't want to hear that. Or you may know it about yourself, but let's not be in fear. If you don't think you're good enough because you got baggage, then work on your baggage. That's the biggest thing you can start doing. Work on your baggage. Ask Yah to help you remove this baggage and help you to be ready. You don't have to be in fear and write yourself off and say something foolish or do something foolish and write yourself off.
Thank Yah that
And
you know I was
Yah
talking
has
stupid.
proven, right.
Especially if a man has shown interest in you.
And that's what Master was saying, especially if a man has shown interest in you. Don't write yourself off, sisters. Don't come in prideful either. Don't be having that prideful attitude of somebody got to cover you and you this and that. You ain't, just put it that. We ain't nothing. Or one of our brethren say, drink some humble juice.
Eat some humble
and at the
pie.
same time, you ask Yah to lead you where that is, help you to remove those things that is going to be a hindrance, a block, whatever it may be, and just pursue that. Pursue fixing yourself. Be dedicated to fixing yourself, so that way when he brings you a master or a husband to cover you, that you could truly give your all to that master, that husband, that head. You could be devoted to him, because that is what we're lacking in today's time, and women is devotion. We ain't devoted to anything. We so used to bed hopping, church hopping, street hopping, school hopping. I mean, we've been hopping all around our whole lives. We've been bouncing from here to there our whole lives. We've been hopping around from here to there our whole life. We've been in and out of things our whole lives. At least a lot of us. Not maybe all, but a lot of us. And so we're used to doing all this hopping. No, we need some time to settle down. We need to be devoted to one place, wherever Yah leads you, and put all your time and energy into that. Devote yourself to that.
Yes.
We need stability.
And that's what a man offers.
And a man will give you that. A man of Yah. Let me clarify. A man of Yah will offer you that stability. You will have stability. You will have a covering. You will have a home. You will have direction. All those things that you're like, what am I doing this stuff for? Because if you start looking at things, a lot of stuff we do is really, you're like, if you really look at it, what is the purpose of you doing that? Because if all your life is about doing something that feels just because you feel good, we only feel good for a temporary amount of time anyway. We ain't going to get anywhere with that. But when you have a man of Yah, you now have stability. You now can fulfill those areas in your life that Yah intended you. You're going to make somebody happy. You're going to, be a helpmeet and help assist in something that's bigger than you and how you feel. It's something bigger than that, and that's beautiful. And in that, you benefit. You have a family. You have a head. You have a home. You have sisters. You have brethren. You have, just life. You have something to fulfill. When people like to say, I make goals, you've always been taught in school and anywhere else, you're supposed to make goals for your life. You'll have goals. Don't we have goals?
Sure do.
By our master having this vision and there's things he wants done, we have goals. And when he doesn't like an attitude or behavior in us, we have goals. All right, this is a goal. We got to achieve this. So you always have purpose. You're never just there idle.
Right.
Because the Bible talks about if you lack, what's the right term? Purpose. People without vision, they perish.
Yes.
Well, the man has the vision. You are the helpmeet. So that vision becomes your focus, and you have purpose. You don't have to perish.
Sarah, you read that.
Yes.
Becoming a possession and a help to him.
Yes. Being a possession and a help to him, your purpose is right there. All you gotta do now is fulfill it. Walk in it, walk it out. And I thought about something. If the Bible says, if you have no vision, without a vision, the people perish. If you are single and you are trying to remain single, because y'all don't give you the vision, he gave the man the vision. So that means you are walking around visionless. And he said, without a vision, the people are perishing. So you are in a perishing state if you choose to live that way. So,
Sister Carla, my master wanted to ask, is he able to ask you a question? Sister Carla?
I think Brother Yehudin,
Yeah.
unless he's just not really, he probably don't realize. I think I heard,
That's what he's saying. Hallelujah. And Juki's like, no, brother.
He's like, brother, just wait till tomorrow. Oh, wait.
There's one about a question about how breaking soul ties with family. Soul ties. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
She said yes. Master, she said yes.
Well, she answered it right there. But I want to say,
Oh.
yeah, she asked. She said they were not legally married. Well, Sister Carla, I want to kind of extinguish the different types of relationships that we hear in the world. The Bible speaks about two types of relationships, really. I mean, outside of your servanthood, there's the betrothal and the marriage. If you are living with a man and there is no betrothal, and then obviously marriage, but betrothal is marriage because you can commit adultery in the betrothal period. So if the two of you were together in a quote unquote relationship, but it wasn't marriage and you weren't a servant, the reality is you kind of fit in the whoredoms. You're fitting in the whoredoms at that point. Because within the confines of betrothal / marriage, there is going to be, usually a covenant drawn up as a witness. There are witnesses there to signify that the two of you are married. So if that wasn't the case and it was just a case of whoredoms. Because in a marriage setting, is it 1 Corinthians 7, I believe, or 11? One of the two. That says that a woman, when she is married, is not to separate from her husband. 7. She's not to separate from her husband. If she does separate, she only has two choices: remain single or be reunited back to her husband. And then it says for a man not to put away his wife. And we know, if you've watched the channel any amount of time, there's a difference between putting away and divorce. Putting away is separating from your wife without the writ of divorce or the writing of divorce. So I think the question would be, if you were not married to him, then you should be in a state, repent, obviously, for your whoredoms. Also, break the soul ties that you may have with that man. But that's one of the toughest things, is that nowhere biblically can we find that a woman has a right to judge and say, well, my husband's wicked, therefore I'm leaving. If he was your husband, there's no indicator anywhere in the Bible that says that a woman can say he's wicked, therefore I'm leaving. Nowhere. So, and that goes for a lot of women that do, contact me. If you are listening, if you married a man and said, well, he's not doing his job, I'm leaving. The Bible says that you have two choices: be reunited back to him, or find favor in him, or to remain single. but it does not give you the right to go marry somebody else, because at that point in time you have just committed adultery and have caused the man that you are now with to commit adultery. So it would just be based on, you know, what was the status of your quote unquote relationship. If it was not husband and wife, it was, or if you're dating, or it's boyfriend and girlfriend or something like that, it usually just amounts to straight up whoredoms. All right, I'm out.
Yes, Master. I just sent her a message.
You sent her a message?
Private, yeah,
Okay.
because we do some for her birthday. You know, we have the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So, oh shoot! I was actually gonna ask you if you want to see if I get up, cause I didn't know if I could do it. I'm ready to go. We're about to close it. Actually.
All right, I just got a better understanding. Thank you, Sister K. Thank you, Sister K. Okay. Her question was, is it selfish to want a covering if she left the man due to her being a Jezebel? No. No, it's not selfish. But again, you need to repent. But is it selfish? Absolutely not. Especially if you did that thing in an act of, well, I didn't know. I wasn't in the faith. I did not, you know, Hebrews 10:26 says, for if we sin willfully after we receive knowledge of the truth, there is no more sacrifice for sin. So if you did not know that it was wrong and you did it, is it selfish? No.
Oh, she gave more information. She said, I was in a relationship with him for 7 years and we have a son. I left because I was selfish, but the fact is I had she had a sexual relationship with another man, and now she can't go back to him.
Yeah, you cannot go back to him, because
So
at that point you become defiled. So is it wrong? No, because if you look at it, and I'm not trying to talk a lot in this stream, but we've all done things in our lives that were wrong or selfish. If we all, you know, had a come to Yahshua moment, we all shared what we've done in our lives, y'all would look at me and be like, I don't even know why the hell I'm listening to this man.
Right.
Why am I even listening to this dude? This dude, he was in some crap when he was younger. Now, does that mean that I mean, Yah, you're seeing the mercy that Yah has extended to all of us, because now that we hear the truth, we're willing to walk in it. And that's the big difference. If you hear the truth and you are willing to walk in it, and you walk in it, then no, you are not selfish. You have to just accept the fact that Yah gave you another opportunity. None of us that you see sitting before you were pure. None of them came to me pure. I didn't even come to me pure.
You didn't go to yourself.
I didn't go to myself pure. But yet, Yah was still merciful to each and every one of us. What this means now is, now that you have heard the truth, you walk in it. You walk in it right now. You repent it, you walk in it. You turn from the wickedness, you walk in it. So no, you're not selfish. Just consider this as Yah being merciful to you. He is being merciful and giving you another opportunity. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Praise God.
All right. You're welcome, Sister Carla. He's not quiet.
Go take a break down.
Sisters, please join the sisters chat. Yeah, did anyone address the sisters chat? She's and we might mention it.
Oh yeah, you can extend a.
Oh, yeah, we didn't say it,
If
but
the
yeah.
sister would like to go to sister chat.
Yes, Master. So Sister Ima Bima just mentioned the sisters chat. So we have a sisters chat, sisters fellowship group. If anyone would like to join, please send an email to our master's email address in the description box. Put in the subject line that you would like to join a sisters chat, and you know, just put in there that you would like to join. Your
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp too. If they don't know.
Yeah, it's on our WhatsApp. The sister chat is on the WhatsApp. So you would need to download that and send an email to our master's email address. Just put in the subject line sisters chat that you would like to join the sister chat, and leave your phone number. And then we'll go from there. Our master will pass along the email address, and
in the description today.
Sister Carla just tried to put her email address in it.
Yes,
Chat. Let her know to send it in the email.
Sister Sky is already dealing with it.
Okay,
She
okay.
deleted and
Okay.
fixed it.
yes, you want to send an email to our master's email address that is in the description box.
That's not,
In the description.
that's not in there. It will be. Okay. It will be. That's why I'm doing seeing it quietly. So just check.
It will be in the description box. And just send an email, put in the subject line that you want to join the sisters chat, and your phone number, and our master will reply accordingly, and we'll add you to the sisters chat.
Team of Mr. Trust with donation. I don't have Apple Pay. I don't know what to do.
You don't have Apple Pay?
What the heck? Can you hand me that? He does not.
Well, in the description box, it'll probably be right after the stream ends. Our master will put all the information in the description box. Where you can donate. He normally uses PayPal if you would like to. Some people use the super chat here, but right now all our master has is the PayPal. And all that will be in the description box.
And PayPal, do it how you want, but PayPal usually is the better way so far.
Yeah, they'll know when they send a super chat that YouTube actually, or Google takes a portion of that, a large portion.
Yes, when the super chat on here, when that is used, Google normally takes a portion of that. So PayPal is normally the better way to go because there's nothing taken out of that.
Or minimal.
What'd you say? Or minimal is taken out. And also our master says, you don't have to donate. You can just watch the ads, and that will donate to us in itself.
All right, Sister Ivy, y'all asked a question about soul, how to break soul ties.
I sent it. That's Benya Garvey's wife.
Yeah.
I told her I'm gonna give her on privately.
Okay, let her know
I have her message.
let her know that she can have her husband message me.
Okay.
And I'll send them the soul tie prayers that we use here.
She said thank you.
Okay. Yes, Sister Avia. Did she hear him?
Thank you.
Okay, so did you hear my master say, if you have your husband message my master, he will send you all the prayers that we use. I don't know which part she heard. So I just wanted to
Yes, ma'am.
Tell you who did. I said thank you, brother.
Thank you, Yuhudin, Brother Yuhudin. Our master said,
You're humble.
we are
We
humble.
are humble. Thank you.
Sister Amy, remember you said what's asking for Apple Pay? Are you talking about on this Google, on the YouTube?
She went down and said, "Oh yikes, PayPal." It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
ma'am.
okay.
But I was just asking her what she knew about Apple Pay.
Oh,
Unless
that's what
we're
it was
talking about the
asking.
super chat.
That right there.
I don't remember yet.
Thank
Okay.
you again. Is that you, Houdin, twice?
Yes. You.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Houdin.
So, are there any more questions or comments? Because we're going to be wrapping it up.
1 second.
Oh, yes, Master.
HOQs wives are going to be mods now.
Yes,
Yes,
master.
Well, I just waited for them to comment. So let's go ahead and close it out.
Yes, Master. So we're going to be wrapping it up. Are there any more questions or comments? How did they do that with sending money?
Even Bennett said, please have a part 2. Okay, we will.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Eva Bina.
We may do it next week.
Our master said we may have a live stream on next week.
Part 2.
Part 2.
I hope this. Oh man, my message messed up.
Eva Bina, they may have Apple. Some people do, so we're not exactly sure how the super chat works on here, but like we said, if you want to the PayPal information will be in the description box shortly,
I don't know how to.
and it will be probably easier to use that.
Right.
I don't even know how to use Super Chat. I didn't know I had it.
Our master said he doesn't even know how to use it. He didn't know he had it
Until people started sending me money, and I was like, oh.
until people started sending money. So
Remember generation at my
She says he's gonna ask the younger people in their house.
That's funny to me.
oh wow.
Thank you again.
Thank you again.
Thank you
We are
again.
humble. Thank you.
Somebody shot them and said it's.
Y'all bless.
Tell them thank you.
Our master said thank you. Oh, Ima Bima said she has our PayPal already.
Oh.
Okay.
Tell her so she can donate that way if she would like.
Yes, ma'am.
Since she already has it. Thank you, Yuhudin, from our master to you again. Don't bite me, baby.
All right.
That's right.
Well, if there's no more questions or comments, we're gonna go ahead and
feed me.
feed our master. Yes.
I want you to let everybody know that I starved.
Oh my
So
God.
that we can have this chat.
He believes that he's starved
So
so that we could have this chat.
Right.
But
So we starved him.
we are going to go and take care of him so that he may be nourished.
She said powerful.
Yes, Sister Key and Sister Amy.
Sister Key and Sister Amy commented, Master. I don't see
can
the
you
rest.
ask them to count one more time to make sure it's on?
Oh,
Okay.
there's Sister Keys.
There's
Okay,
Sister
there's
Keys.
She said, "Feed that man."
EMD said, give him a plate before the chat. No, I want them to feel guilty.
He said he didn't want us to feed him. He wanted us to feel guilty about it.
Yes,
Mrs. J.
Sister-
Carter
Sister-
started laughing.
They are moderators, Master. Love you all too, Sister Amy, Sister Keisha.
Not even angry.
So I think
Blessings to all your husbands' houses.
Our Master said, blessings to all of you all's husbands' houses.
Okay.
are we done? Oh, okay.
All right, you go ahead and close it out.
All right. Yes, Master. All right. We thank you all for all the support and for the chat. We have 50 people in here right now.
Right. At one
Higher
point, we
than
had
that.
72.
72. Okay.
Yes, surprising. All right, sisters. We love y'all.
Shalom, 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 and blessings to you and your master's houses. And if you're single, blessings to you. We pray that you will find a suitable covering and you will prepare yourselves in the meantime.
All right. Shalom,
All right,
Sister
shalom.
Sky. We love you all. Sister Nina. And we love you all. Shalom.
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 Happy Prep Day.
Right.
Oh, shoot, yeah.